The story began with the fact that in the current infected world, people became food for monsters. At some point, the main character appeared at the site of the monster attack and said that now everything would be fine. Meanwhile, those who could still be saved were gathering in the car. But they decided to refuse the next person, worried that he might become infected and turn into a zombie. The main character endured ridicule, contempt, and hostility, but at that moment his system was activated, and he received the title of warrior in it. And he began to fight the monsters, defeating one after another. With each day of battle, he became stronger, and at some point his rank in the system was changed to Furious Warrior. After some time, he already received the title of Black Magician. Then his title changed to Scientist of the highest degree, and this went on for quite a long time. He had a goal to achieve the title of God because only he can look down on all living things. But before that, he came to the Punitive Training Academy and asked the teacher to give him a chance. The teacher refused him, scattering his documents and saying that he had already tried to awaken his abilities 6 times, and it was all to no avail. Dixie of the Warrior Academy, a B-rank warrior and former member of the scientific research group, told him that he would never, ever become a warrior. 17-year-old Lin Wengxing disagreed with him on this matter. After leaving his office, he realized that no matter how hard he tried, he didn't pass even on the 6th attempt, and that most likely he really wasn't destined to become a warrior. At the same moment, he saw Ling Yutao, Ling Wengxing's 16-year-old younger brother with the title of C-rank Wind-style Master. He looked at him and remembered that among warriors the D rank is considered the lowest, but he received the C rank immediately after joining, and yet he is still a minor. Landing next to him, he told him that if he never received the title, then there is no need to worry, because from an early age he defended him, and now it was his turn to protect him. Then the story moves to 2050, when the whole world is filled with zombies infected with the Z virus, and only warriors can fight them, and they are considered people with abilities. If someone proves himself, he gets access to the city horizon, and those whose abilities have not awakened are called privates and are expelled from the academy upon reaching adulthood. After this, the story moves back to the main character and his brother. The main character saw Zilan, but he was not the only one who saw her. Lin Yutao also saw her and called her to come over to them. The main character asked why this was. Yutao, after she approached, said that they could talk for now, but he needed to leave. The main character asked him not to leave, but it was useless. After he left, the main character remembered that he was so busy trying to overcome the rank of private for several years that he did not have time to talk with her, and decided that at least before leaving, he needed to chat. He further told her that he was very lucky to meet her here. She agreed and said that she hoped that he had awakened his abilities. Li Wei approached him with the title of a metal-style warrior with a D rank and grabbed him by the hair and told those around him that this idiot was already on a date. The main character understood that for the last 2 years he has been jealous of his brother, since he is more talented. But he cannot express this to him personally, but only takes it out on him. Next, he snatched the papers that were in his hand from the main character in order to see what was there. He opened the documents and showed them to everyone, saying that 6 attempts were not enough for him to awaken his abilities. Next, he asked the main character if he and his brother were really related. Otherwise, he could not understand how his brother could become a master of the wind, but he remained worthless. The main character said that he can say whatever he wants about him, but he won't allow him to say that about his brother. Li Wei told him that he could be as angry as he wanted, but it wouldn't change anything. The girl who ran up to the main character, whom he pushed away, asked if she was sure that she wanted to date such trash. The girl began to treat the main character and asked him not to move at that moment. Li Wei asked her if she was a D-rank warrior therapist, because he had never met anyone like her. After that, he grabbed her hand and asked if she really didn't want to go with him. She asked to be released. The main character grabbed his clothes and asked him to leave Zilan as soon as possible. Li Wei kicked him in the face and pulled the girl away from him, who did not want to leave him. Next, he asked her to forget about this garbage because he was only making noise. Next, Yutao appeared and told him that he was giving him a couple of seconds to let go of the girl, and a second to disappear from his sight. Li Wei said that he agreed to leave because they were just having fun here. Then he told all his friends that he was tired of having fun with these two and offered to leave here. After they left, the brother landed and asked the main character if he was okay. He responded positively and said he wanted to be alone. After leaving them, the main character realized that following the lead of pity is not an option, because he needs to do what is in his power. And at some point, he saw monsters. These monsters are extremely tenacious and have no use for conventional weapons. Only warriors with special abilities are able to resist them, but even with a large number of warriors, people are unable to defend their lands. And the reason for this is considered to be mutants. The main character ran closer to these mutants and saw Zilan, who asked for help. Understanding that she was in danger and that there were zombies everywhere, and that he was not a warrior, he did not believe that the end could overtake him here. But after trying to defeat the mutant, he realized that he was too strong and that he could not cope with him. He asked the girl to run away from here because he would not be able to hold him back for long. But Yu Tao and Li Wei came running to them, and the zombie disappeared. Li Wei said that he had to take time to reach them. Yu Tao reported that the academy's defenses had been breached and zombies had invaded. The main character said that he had already seen a mutant zombie. Li Wei asked not to lie to them because there was no way a mutant could be here. The main character said that he understands that it is difficult to believe, but it is true. When Li Wei himself saw them, he said that he needed to run for cover before it was too late. The main character said that they cannot run to the academy, and that they need to run along the street. Li Wei asked if he decided to kill them all by making such a decision. The main character said that a horde of zombies attacked the academy, and they are roaming around it, and there are probably survivors there waiting for salvation. He further added that a horde of zombies led by a mutant will first attack crowded places, and if they run there, they will have a hard time. He also told him that using his and Yu Tao's abilities, they are able to destroy ordinary zombies and find a way out of here. Yu Tao asked Li Wei to remove his hands because he and his brother would go wherever they saw fit, and he could be on his own. Li Wei told him that he couldn't survive without his strength, so he wanted to go with them. As a result, they went together. Yu Tao said that as one would expect. There are not many zombies on the route suggested by my brother. They eventually saw the car of the rescue squad of soldiers and ran to it. Yu Tao said that he had no doubt that in a critical situation, the protagonist would always find the right solution. The main character realized that even though he is a warrior, he is still good for something. But at that moment, a mutant was flying at him and his brother asked him to bend down. But while the main character did not understand why he was suddenly asked to bend down, his brother attacked him, taking the blow upon himself, thereby allowing himself to be infected. The main character brought his brother to the rescue vehicle and asked him to let them get into the car while his brother could still be cured. And so the story finally came to the very moment when they were not allowed into the car. Zilan pushed the main character and his brother away, and told him that since he was a simple private and she wanted to live, she was forced to do this. After they left, leaving the main character and his brother to die, the main character finally got the chance to become a warrior, without expecting it. After he defeated all the attacking zombies, he wondered if he really did all this. Next, he discovered system notifications and abilities that he had already consciously begun to control. Realizing this, he realized that if not for the system, he would have become food for these zombies. After that, he saw a notification about an alarm due to the approach of zombies and a question about what to do with them, attack or evade. He knew that if he evaded, his brother would be in danger, so he decided it was better to attack. Having chosen to attack, he did not understand what was happening, because his hand began to move on its own. After the attack, he saw his status in the system and realized that it seemed like he still had a lot to learn. But be that as it may, he decided that it was time to leave here because another wave of zombies was moving towards him. He decided to deal with the zombies before leaving, and realized that if he chose evasion, his body's capabilities and reaction increased significantly, and when he attacks, the attack power increases. In addition, after destroying the zombies, he discovered that he was awarded experience points. He further suggested that if he understood correctly, then when the indicator showed the number 2, he would be able to combine them and attack and dodge at the same time. He also understood that the number on the indicator depended on his parameters, but he still didn't have enough strength to use attack and evasion together. After defeating the zombies, he took his brother to some place and thought that they had gotten away from them. But a mutant came to this place and the system bombarded him with alarm notifications. Liu Yong, an A-rank warrior, left the academy into the city and realized that everything was sad here too. He, as captain, was informed that everything was calm on the territory of the academy, and that at present only ordinary zombies had been seen, and there were no hints of mutated ones. The captain asked if there were any survivors. They told him no, but they couldn't inspect the inside. The captain said that it was necessary to find the source of the disaster as soon as possible, because it could not be allowed to approach the horizon. At that moment, the girl ran up to the captain and reported that there were survivors. The main character, meanwhile, looked at his brother and realized that the level of infection was high. But fortunately, he was not harmed. And all this is due to the fact that at the moment when the mutant came to them, he managed to activate the enhancement, otherwise he would have torn them to shreds. Next, he decided that he needed to get his brother to the hospital as soon as possible at any cost. The captain approached them with other people and said that if the main character understands their speech, then he is healthy. Judging by the vests, they are from a detachment of warriors, and his brother told them that they understand their speech. The captain said that first they must answer the question, because it depends on whether they will pull them out or not, and after that he asked if they had been bitten. The main character replied that he was safe, but his younger brother was infected. The captain said that if this was so, then he should leave his brother in the pit, and he himself should rise. The main character said that he can be saved and that he has savings for this. One of the squad said that the cure for the infection is very expensive, and you need to be an A-rank warrior to be able to restrain the infected, otherwise he will eat him. Moreover, if this guy is still resisting the virus, he is probably strong, which means that the likelihood that he will turn into a mutant is very high. He also said that this is why he must move away, otherwise he will finish him off too. The main character realized that they did not want to listen to him, but he was not going to leave his brother and decided that even if he had to fight with them, he was ready for it. The captain said that he saw traces of a battle here and asked after that if they had ever encountered a mutant. The main character answered positively. The captain said that he believed him and asked him to take them to the mutant. His subordinates asked him if he was serious when he said that. He replied that it was his decision as captain. They also told him that his brother might show aggression along the way, and he said that in that case he would kill him himself. After the main character got out of the pit, the captain asked in which direction the mutant had gone and added that if he lied, then there would be no mercy. The main character replied that the mutated one was still in the academy. The girl looked at the map and said that there were about 195 directly in front of them and 77 to the southeast, which meant that there were 97 zombies heading from east to west. Arriving at the academy, they saw that there were no more survivors left in the academy. The main character said that there are too many of them and that they definitely cannot do without reinforcements. The captain said that they really had a problem. The girl asked what the order was. The captain told Xiao Yu and Dali that the cleanup was on them this time. After that, they went to clean up. The main character said that it was amazing because the huge body mass does not make him any less fast and agile. Then they saw that one of the zombies was the dean of the academy, and the main character said that if he was not mistaken, his ability was to increase muscle mass. Seeing this, one of the warriors who were watching shot at the dean of the academy. Dali said that now we can safely continue to move on. The main character realized that although he didn't hate the dean, he was one of the strongest in the entire academy, and there were rumors that he had even been a member of a small detachment of warriors before. One of the warriors said that judging by the strength of that zombie, he used to be strong, because after transformation, a person with powerful abilities with a certain probability retains them. Next, he told the main character that his younger brother was also strong, and asked if he had not yet lost faith in his strength, and if he was ready to bear responsibility further after seeing what happened. The main character said that he has not changed his mind because he is his brother. A member of the squad said that in this case he should cut himself off, because there is nothing wrong with asking for help from elders. Luo Xin looked at the map and said that there were more than 100 ordinary zombies inside, and also some strange creatures that looked like a mutant. They looked inside and made sure that it looked like this creature had indeed attacked the academy and turned all the students into zombies, whose behavior was impossible to predict. The captain told the main character that he and Luo Xin should stay here and they would sort it out. The main character said that if he could use his power at the right time, he would help them. Luo Xin told the main character that there is no need to worry, because they are very strong and will definitely be able to cope. Xiao Yu was born in District 24 near the city of Horizon, and there are about 26 districts in total, and the higher the number, the farther from Horizon they are. Luo Xin and Da Li are orphans. In order for people like them to survive, they had to risk their lives, looking for food in places filled with zombies, and after each foray, they, the last of the orphans, shared food like a family. Then the main character saw that they had dealt with such a strong mutant and said that it was amazing. Luo Xin said that in fact, the captain, an A-rank warrior, could have been working in Horizon a long time ago, but it seems that he does not want to leave them. After that, she invited him to go down to them because now it was safe there. The captain told the main character that since he helped them find the mutant, as agreed, he would take them both to the medical center to request an antidote. The main character realized that thanks to the system, as soon as he cures his brother, he will be able to fulfill his dream. Next, the main character saw and realized that the scale was filled due to luminous crystals that hover over the corpses, but the mutant did not have a crystal, which he considers strange. Then the captain saw at some point that Xiao Yu and Luo Xin were wounded, and he decided to destroy the enemy. A little later, almost no one from the detachment was left alive, and the main character, looking at this, did not understand how such a strong detachment could be destroyed so easily. The main character decided that he needed to get out of here with his brother, but the monster is unlikely to allow this. He further remembered that the energy meter was filled to 100%, and it looked like he would be able to use the system's power to the maximum. The captain wondered if it was all over because he was too weak to protect his friends. The main character approached him and began to take him away. The captain asked what he was doing. The main character replied that he could not leave him here. The captain realized that his speed was now at the level of an A-rank warrior. The main character asked the captain if he was okay. The captain, without answering his question, asked what it was just now. The main character said that he almost killed himself, and realized that it turns out that the accumulated energy indicator shows the amount of energy that can be converted into strength. He saw that the amount of energy had reached 100%, and that he had reached the 3rd level, and the total number of skill points had reached 3. And he decided to spend everything on improving his evasion in order to avoid the monster's attacks. The captain said that now there is no time to think long, because his strength is clearly enough to resist the candidate. The main character asked which candidate we were talking about. The captain replied that this is the name of monsters that can develop in abnormal bodies, and if he is not finished off, he will become several times stronger, and these creatures are extremely rare to find. He also said that when he attacks, he will try to parry the attack, and in the meantime he can try to hit him in the head. The main character, after the fight with the candidate, asked the captain if he was okay. The captain answered positively, but he needs to run away from here because he has already spent all his strength. The main character asked for forgiveness for missing the opportunity to attack. The captain said he was the one who made the mistake. The captain asked if his ability was in the strength class. The main character asked what he was talking about. The captain said that a warrior's ability can be divided into 4 classes, namely strength, speed, skill, and energy. As a rule, warriors specialize in one of them, and the rest are relatively weak. The captain also said that the weapon gives the warrior additional strength, which makes up for the shortcomings in the warrior's ability. But now there is no way for him to get the weapon, because it must go through the appropriate rituals. After that, he asked the main character to take his brother and run away from here. The main character said that if we run, then only together. The captain asked what was the point of living if he did not protect the person close to him. The main character said that he agrees with him, so he will protect them all. Next, he pressed a button, the purpose of which he did not know, and received some kind of uniform, similar to the uniform of a blacksmith. The captain saw this and asked if he had a system, because only with the help of it is this possible. After making the weapon, he defeated the monster with it and said that he had finally died. He went on to say that it seems like he did the right thing by choosing evasion, because the combination of high-speed evasion and powerful weapons is capable of killing mutated zombies. The captain wondered if he had imagined that just a moment ago the strength and abilities of the main character had changed. When taking the crystal that appeared after killing the monster, he was met with pain. After receiving the crystal, the system reported that its level had been increased, and that the title of magician had been unlocked. Next, the main character lost consciousness, and the captain approached him and asked if he was okay, but he did not answer. After that, the main character opened his eyes and saw his brother, who asked if he had woken up. The main character asked him if he was healthy. The brother replied that he was fine, but unfortunately he could not save him. Then he opened his eyes again and stood up abruptly, this time actually waking up. Then he realized that it was just a dream. But this time the captain asked him how he was, scaring him even more. The main character asked him what he was doing here. The captain asked him who he thought brought him to the hospital. He further said that they were in the 1st District Hospital. After the fight, he lost consciousness, and 3 days have passed since then. After the main character asked where his brother was, the captain asked him to go with him, and they eventually went. The main character noticed and told the captain that he was famous here. The captain replied that it was all thanks to him. The main character saw his brother and, frightened, asked how he was. The captain replied that he should calm down, because he used the best medical drugs in the area, and although he was still in a coma, the level of mutation was stable. The main character thanked him. The captain said that this was temporary, because drugs not on the horizon at best could only stop the infection, and as soon as the treatment stopped, his condition would quickly worsen. The captain said that if he wants to save his brother, then he needs to go to Horizon and become a professional warrior. The main character decided that he needed to get a rank higher than Captain Liu, and not lower than A rank. Previously, this would have been impossible, but now it is more than possible. The captain also said that as an A-rank warrior, he could recommend him to take the qualification exam, but before that he must tell him about his strange power. After listening, he said that it was incredible, and that not everyone had a system that could not only change ability parameters, but also enter different ranks to control skills. The main character said that he was also surprised, because in theory, skills are divided into control, release, transformation, and spirituality, and that all of them are in no way compatible. The captain said that it was quite possible and that 20 years had already passed since such cases appeared, and even as an A-rank warrior, he knew little about it. He further said that all information about this should be kept at the Palace of the Elders in Horizon, but getting there is not easy. After that, the captain said that the qualifying exam in this area would take place in exactly a week, and advised him to take part in it first. The main character understood that he had to master the system for the sake of his brother. A week later, the captain came to the Warriors Association with the main character, who noticed many people in this place who wanted to take the exam. The captain said that all those who came had received a recommendation and should not underestimate their strength. Next, he asked the main character if he had mastered his ability well. He replied that a week of practice helped a little to master the system. The captain asked not to forget what they talked about before. And earlier he asked him not to tell anyone about the system. After all, the chain of relationships within the association is very complex, and therefore it is better not to attract unnecessary attention. Zilan saw him and realized that it was incredible because he had no chance to survive, but he was able to do it. Li Wei also saw him and, swinging at him, asked what kind of joke this was and why such trash like him came to take the exam. The main character stopped the blow and forced him to bow before him. He didn't understand what kind of strange power he had. Zilan said that she had to leave him then and that she could not do otherwise. He told her that he would deal with her in the qualifying exam a little later. She asked him what he was talking about and said that she was glad to have him back. She also added that she was still worried, wondering if he would be able to stay alive. She also said that they could try again. He asked her if she had the courage to ask where his brother was. He went on to say that she needn't worry about it, because he would understand if she only left him, the weakling. But he considers the fact that she abandoned his wounded brother unforgivable. He then walked back to Captain Liu and said that they could move on. Li Wei said that he clearly had to go through something terrible, because after blocking the blow, his whole body hurt. Zilan wondered how he dared to talk to her like that and decided that he would still pay for it. The main character further realized that it was now obvious why warriors were tested to determine their physical abilities. The captain said that the recommendation exam consists of 2 parts. The first is a test of physical ability, and the second is a test of his ability. But at the first stage, it is forbidden to use abilities. He realized that even without abilities, they run very fast, and even though he has a system, he must pass the test on his own. Having run laps, he did not understand why he was the only one of all who was exhausted. A girl came up to him and brought him a drink, saying that she did not expect that he would still run to the end and not give up. She also said that it was his own fault that he came running last, because many masters of sports took part in this test. Even Zhao Lin from District 2, who was trained as a first-class warrior and graduated from the academy with top marks. Feng Yufan, according to her, is a genius from the 3rd region. His abilities and education are top-notch. She also didn't forget to mention the rising star, Zhou Jiqiang, who had been part of the battle squad for some time. She also said that this time everyone who came to the exam is considered the future elite of Horizon. She said that she had not heard anything about him, and that in her opinion he did not look like someone who had undergone long-term training. According to her, this is not an exam that anyone can pass, and she asked if he understands this. He said that he was Lin Wengxing, who was considered a non-entity in the 23rd region, and he had his own reasons for taking the exam, which he would definitely pass. She laughed and said that she did not expect to hear such a banal remark. At this moment, the examiners arrived, among whom was the legendary A+ rank warrior Li Yuting. The main character saw him and realized that he seemed to be looking at him and began to walk in his direction. He was afraid that perhaps he had seen the system, but he walked past him and approached Yunka and said that he was looking forward to her performance. She told him that she would definitely meet all his expectations. Next, Li Yuting walked away and said that the second test is to clear all the zombies that are behind him within the allotted time. He went on to say that forcing them to fight with their bare hands would be child abuse, so he spread out the bracelets and asked them to put them on. By wearing this bracelet, which looked like a wristwatch, he initially blinded many, but after being blinded, he spread protection throughout his body against zombie bites, which is much easier to fight. Each of the participants had their own combat equipment, different from that of the others. Seeing an increase of 3%, he asked the examiner what this figure meant. The examiner replied that equipment based on his current abilities can increase his combat power, and the stronger he is, the higher the rate. Next, he saw the main character's 3% and said that this was a rather low figure, after which he asked if he was sure that he had not made a mistake in the exam, because usually the increase rate is about 10%. Zhao Ling has a gain rate of 25%, which is already much higher than the main character. Feng Yufan's gain rate was 22%, which is not the highest. Zhou Jiqian's gain rate stopped at 23%, which is also not that bad. The examiner said that the participants were quite strong this time. Last time, according to him, there was only one that exceeded 20. After many indicators were known, the examiner asked again if he wanted to retreat, because he could still catch the bus. The main character asked not to worry about him. And at that moment the Yunka indicator became known, and it was 51%. Even at the professional level, this would already be an A rank, and now this is certainly a new record. The examiner said that the rising star, as always, lives up to all expectations. The main character at that moment realized that her strength was not a boast. After that, she asked him if he now sees how cool she is. The main character realized that she had a bad character. The examiner further declared the 11th Warrior Selection Exam officially open, because the matter was not waiting. Participants were told that more than 150 zombies awaited them, including both ordinary and anomalous ones. Throughout the test, examiners promised to use drones to track their progress. The zombies were processed using special horizon technology, so even if they bite someone, no one will become infected. After the test began, Yunka decided to be the first to go the farthest. The main character saw that she began to select suitable weapons and decided to try it himself. The main character hoped that he would be able to pick up something unusually strong, but he was upset by the result he saw. The examiner laughed and said that weapons are selected based on an analysis of the strength of the ability. The examiner then told Captain Liu that he thought the student he recommended was very funny, but this did not become even the slightest obstacle for the main character in defeating the monsters, because he has a system. The examiner at this point asked if anyone had seen what just happened while he was turning away. One day a week before the test, the main character asked if he understood correctly that it was impossible to talk about the system. The captain replied that it was true, because on the day of the exam there would be masters much stronger than him, and that he could get into the experiments. When the main character asked how he could pass the exam, the captain attacked him and said after the attack that he needed to quickly activate the system, avoid the click, and immediately close it. Helping me up, he said that this was the only way to avoid the attention of the examiners. The main character said that he understood everything. Further, the captain said that he would train him for several days without sleep and rest, which upset the main character a little. Later, during the exam, he realized that at the moment of an enemy attack he needed to activate the system, invest 1 of 4 points in evasion and 1 in attack, dodge the blow and attack back at high speed, and then close the system. That's exactly what he did in the end, and realized that the training was not in vain, because everything worked out for him. Next, the examiner told the captain that this guy is not as simple as he seems and is even somewhat similar to him. But this time the exam will not be easy. The main character realized that the test had just begun, and already he had to make an effort, but he needed to defeat at least 10 people. At some point after the zombie attack, the main character was unable to evade, but fortunately the blow fell on the armor. And this happened for the reason that he forgot that there were also mutants here, and given the black flame he assumed that it looked like it was a candidate again. The captain asked the examiner why he had not announced earlier that there would be a candidate. The examiner replied that there is no need to worry, because there are 150 zombies in the arena and only 30 pseudo-candidates who cannot be compared with the real ones. He further said that although they are not real, they are quite strong, and killing them is awarded 100 times more points than for ordinary zombies. In his opinion, only those who participated in the battle with mutants will be able to pass the test. The captain asked why the requirements for the test subjects were so harsh this year, since they had no real combat experience. The examiner replied that, according to reliable information, a new zombie king had recently appeared, which is why mutants began to appear more and more often. And if the examinees here only encounter ordinary zombies, then in a real battle they will die. He went on to say that instead of letting them die there, it would be better to let them get injured here and give up, because at least they would be able to move on with their lives. The captain remembered the last battle, and realized that it was true that the battles were becoming more and more fierce, and if you and the others had not followed his example and became warriors, then perhaps they would be alive now. The main character at some point realized that there were more and more candidates, and if he did not use the system to its fullest, then he most likely would not be able to pass the test. But at the same time, he remembered that if he used it, then he would definitely reveal himself. In addition, the dagger is also broken, so we need to come up with something. While he was distracted by thoughts, the candidate was already attacking him, but Yunka saved him by killing the candidate. He thanked her and realized that he had never seen such a talented and strong person. The examiner said that it was no surprise that she was a member of the Horizon aristocracy, the daughter of the Yun family. After all, she is not only strong but also able to inspire her teammates. Next, the main character realized that since he could not use the system, it would be better to take the chance, find a weak spot, and finish off the zombies in one blow. He decided that the correct way out of this situation would be to instantly turn on the system and strike with the system turned off, after which the points for the kill would be in his pocket. But while he was thinking, Yunka killed all the candidates, leaving not one for him even to try to implement his plan. But all is not lost, because she did not see one candidate who was creeping up behind her at that moment. At this moment, the system informed the main character that a new class assassin had been received, with many advantages, including stealth. Many participants did not understand how it was possible for a deceased mutant to fully recover and continue to attack. No one could defeat him, because his strength, speed, and other characteristics were on a completely different level. At some point, the main character caught the flying Yunka and asked her to quickly escape and leave the rest to him. The examiner saw and spoke about a very fast shadow, which is very similar to the power of the Zombie King. Next, the examiner decided to go to the arena and asked Captain Liu to go with him as quickly as possible. The captain said that this shadow could be the ability of someone being tested, and therefore we need to observe more. The examiner said that it was not a matter of shadow, but that the candidates he created did not have the ability to self-heal. Then someone ran up to them and said that an object of the Zombie King class had been accurately recorded in the arena. The examiner and the captain ran to the arena and asked the examiner to notify all examinees to go to the shelter, and he also asked to notify the Ebola squad about the highest category combat alert. The main character heard the announced request to immediately leave the arena. The main character thought that they were mocking him, and decided that he would leave only after he killed this creature. Seeing that he couldn't kill him because he seemed to be made of iron, he decided to activate the executioner skill and continue the fight. At some point, the examiner asked him from behind to stop and without moving put down his weapon. At this moment, he remembered his lack of skill. Next, the examiner asked him to turn around slowly and without nonsense. The system offered to reactivate the stealth skill, to which he agreed. Seeing that the main character had disappeared, the examiner asked to seal the arena and examine each zombie. After all this, the captain asked if he understood correctly from his story that he saved Yunka with the help of the system, and she recognized him. The main character said that the situation was tense and there was no time to think. He moved very quickly, according to him, and it may be that she did not recognize him. The captain said that there are different forces at work in Horizon, and Yunka is a descendant of the Yun family from Horizon, and when they reveal him, they will take him to Horizon. And the worst thing about this whole situation, according to him, is that the sensors identify him as the king of the zombies. The main character asked in surprise why this was so. He replied that it is difficult to say anything now, especially considering that Yunka is a person from the Yun family. The main character said that he understood everything, and that regarding these 2 points he would be especially careful. Then the question arose in his mind how many more secrets the system concealed. The captain said that it was already late, and that he could go back and rest because the exam would continue tomorrow. Going out into the street, the main character saw a car and a man standing next to it, whom he asked who he was. The man replied that he was Mr. Lin Wengxin, and that he had come to take him to Horizon. The main character asked who he was and what he was going to do with him next. Lin Wengxin replied that he needed to go with him and said that he would find out everything along the way, but for now he could only say that this was Li Yuting's order. The captain came out to them and he also told him that he should go with him. In the main area of Horizon, in the Tower of Babel near the 7th conference room, Lin Wengxin asked to wait inside for a while. Before entering, he asked to place his hand on the display module to record fingerprints. After successfully completing this stage, the door opened, and when he saw all the test subjects, he calmed down a little. Yunka asked where he went after the test ended. He replied that he had gone to the shelter. She asked why she didn't see him anywhere then. He replied that perhaps they missed each other because there were a lot of people. She said it was all a bit too suspicious. At that moment, the examiner came in and said that first of all, He congratulated everyone on passing the certification and becoming warriors, because although there were hiccups in the process, the results were quite good. He further said that the request to urgently come here was dictated by the emergency situation, because Horizon decided to form the Gecko Squad from them. But first, he decided to announce to them the results of the certification, which they had all been waiting for all this time. The most outstanding was Yonko with a plus rank, which was not surprising from the very beginning. Zhao Lin, Zhou Jiqiang, and Feng Yufan are also great, and they received rank B as a result, and C rank Lin Wengxing, who was told by the examiner that he needed to put in more effort. A reminder was received from the system about a new task, the essence of which is that he needs to defeat the Zombie King. Next, the examiner introduced them to two commanders, namely the deputy commander, Commander Liu, who was previously a squad leader and has experience, and he introduced Ye Zilan as another commander, who was appointed after a comprehensive assessment of their squad. The main character had a question about how this was possible, since she was undergoing certification with them. The examiner reported that student E's experience and strength both before and during the test showed that she was excellent for this, especially since she already had experience in exterminating mutants before the exam. She asked to trust her that she would make the team the strongest in all of Horizon. The main character mentally wondered if she was again using dirty tricks to become a commander. The examiner said after that he still had things to do, and he trusted their commanders with their training and sparring, and hoped that they would unite and show decent results. At the warriors' evaluation site, the commanders argued about the protagonist's admission to real combat. Yonka walked up to them and told Ye Zilan that people like her irritate her because of situations like this. The main character said that there is no need to be indignant, because since this is the commander's order, he will go into real battle. Then the main character and Yunki left, and he asked her if it was normal that they left. She asked if he was afraid of Ye Zilan. He replied that he was not afraid, but was wondering whether he should meet with Commander Liu as soon as possible or wait for a special occasion. She asked what other special occasion and whether he would wait until he had the opportunity to kill a few more mutants and throw their heads at his feet. Then she said in a whisper that she heard that something strange was happening not far from them. She said he looked like a regular zombie. He said it appears to be an unknown species. She said not to worry so much and asked me to just watch her do it. But at that moment he disappeared, and while they were looking into the void, the zombie was already behind them. At this moment, one of the warriors answered Commander Liu's question that the main character and Yunka had left the training base. She went on to say that they also spotted high-level zombies nearby. He ordered Zhou Jiqiang and Zhao Ling to follow him in search of the main character, and they ran. Ye Zilan asked one of the warriors why he didn't follow them. He replied that she was the commander of the detachment. Moreover, no matter how good Li Yun is, he is not in charge, and she definitely has superiority, and the position in the squad is very important. She asked him to go after them and make sure everything went without surprises. Meanwhile, Yunka was fighting a monster, who told her at some point that it was unexpected that she was so small, but already so strong. At that moment she realized that this monster was not just a zombie, because he was more powerful than a mutant. The main character activated the system and saw a notification that his class had been successfully changed to Builder. He noticed Yunka, who was already unconscious, and placed her away from the battlefield. Then he proceeded to fight the Zombie King because he had such a task. At one point, the Zombie King told the main character that he was the first person to force him to fight for real. Then, after fighting a little with a sword, the main character realized that it was dangerous and that he could not defeat him with a sword. The Zombie King asked what was the matter and if this was all he could do. The main character did not understand why the hammer was able to hit him, and the sword turned out to be absolutely useless. But when he saw the notification that the sword had absorbed the Zombie King's attack ability, he understood why he was unable to cut it. He decided that with the original strength of a warrior he would be able to send this monster to the underworld, but when he tried to attack he was thrown back by the protective field. After several more unsuccessful attempts to approach him, he decided to agree to activate the sorcerer class. The Zombie King wondered how he had not yet taken into account the fact that he could continuously change classes, and realizing that this was an unpleasant ability, he decided that it was time to end it. The main character used the attack ability, Magic Beam, and began to attack the Zombie King with it. One of the warriors realized where the battle was going on, and remembered that, according to the data received earlier, a high-ranking zombie should have a lot of treasures, and therefore, no matter who kills him, he needs to snatch a couple of them. Then he felt some kind of oppressive feeling, and the monster told him that they had met again. Seeing the mutant from the test talking, he decided that he urgently needed to contact Ye Zilan. Meanwhile, the Zombie King asked the main character not to hide, but to come out and obediently die, becoming his food. The main character understood that since he had just received this class, magic was weak and therefore things would not work out that way. And he decided to see if he had any item that enhanced magic. And he still found something unknown. He further realized that if he was caught by surprise, he might be able to break through the field and hit its weak field. He ran up to the Zombie King and began to change classes. He first changed his class to Builder to use the hammer to take his blow. Then, in the Sorcerer class, he decided to form a crystal ball from a construction hammer. And after that, he launched the release of double dark absorption magic. After defeating him, he realized that it seemed that he had not shown all his abilities. But he managed to use all of his, and it's good that it's over. Then he decided to change his class to Warrior. And when he saw the new reinforced jacket, he began to examine it and think that it turns out that the armor goes on both hands, and that it looks like leather. At that moment, Yunka asked him if the zombie was already dead. He answered her positively. Next, Commander Liu ran up to them and asked if they were okay. He also said that they received information about a high-ranking zombie. The main character replied that he had already eliminated him. They looked at the dead zombie and were at a loss as to how this was possible. The same warrior whom Ye Zilan had sent approached them. He told them about this and also said that he had to delay a little because he came across a couple of zombies on the way. The commander asked to hurry up and clear the site, and they will take everything that is left of the zombies with them to Horizon for research. The main character told the commander that Fei Yufan was acting a little strange. After arriving at the conference room, Ye Zilan told the main character with Yunke that they had broken the rule and left the squad without permission, so they must be punished. For eliminating the Zombie King and helping to find the remains, according to her, they should be rewarded, because their misdeeds are equal. She also said that she hopes this won't happen again. The main character said that they are fully aware of their guilt. However, it is a fact that he killed the Zombie King and asked if this could serve as proof of his strength. He also said that he hoped that she would revoke the order and allow him to fight with the squad. She said it was no problem, but based on recent events, she wanted to adjust the composition of the small groups. She further said that Yunka and the main character are no longer in the same group, and now the main character's partner will be Feng Yufan. After they were all sent to bed, Yunka asked the main character to take a walk with her for a while. While walking, she asked if he had found the Zombie King's purple core while collecting the remains. He replied that this was the first time he had heard about her and asked why she was asking. A mental question arose in her mind whether someone had taken her, but she did not answer him. Next, the main character came to the hospital to see his brother, where the doctor told him that the process of treatment and recovery was too slow, so he urgently needed to be transported to Horizon. Meanwhile, the news reported that the Gecko group formed last night has already achieved results. Ye Zilan reported that a member of the group, the main character, eliminated zombies at the king level. She also said that the main character is considered an unusually strong warrior. Hearing this, his brother moved his hand. Next, Ye Zilan gathered the entire squad and announced that this was their first joint task. Cleaning up District 32 is not difficult, but you shouldn't relax, and she suggested working in pairs. The main character did not understand why she included him and Feng Yufan in the same group, and even assumed that it was in order to keep an eye on him. Feng Yufan asked if the new equipment was good, and then offered to help and protect each other. Then they got out of the car, and he thought that the more zombies he killed now, the higher his level would be. While he was in thought, he was already hugged by one of the zombies who approached him from behind. Commander Liu killed him and told the main character that he could not be distracted, and that he needed to watch the rear, not allowing the zombies to get close to him. The main character said that Feng Yufan was in the rear, so he didn't look there. Feng Yufan asked for forgiveness and said that he was killing the mutant and therefore did not have time to react. The commander said that we need to work together and that we should not get drunk on our own battles. The squad member agreed with him. Next, the main character told Feng Yufan that he was wondering whose side he was on and what goals he was pursuing. He asked in response if he would really kill him if something went wrong, after which he said that he had a very angry look. Next, he asked him to calm down because they were partners and he would definitely cover for him. The entire detachment was ordered to be on alert and thoroughly clear the area, because it was impossible to allow even one to escape. The main character realized that during these battles he had accumulated points and trained himself to quickly use the system. But while he was in thought, a mutant crept up to him, and he did not understand how he could not sense the approach of the monster. At this moment, Ye Zilan used the cleansing magic of rupture and killed the monster. The main character saw this, and he wondered if she really saved him. He asked her why she did this. She replied that he was too relaxed and did not even notice that his partner was missing. Ifei Yufan asked not to blame him, because this creature knows how to hide its aura and attack like a jack-in-the-box. He further said that he was walking behind the main character, and before he could call out to him, the creature dragged him into an alley. Luckily, I managed to escape. Then she gathered everyone and said that the majority had performed well, namely Zhao Lin, Zhou Jiqiang, and Yunke deserved encouragement and awards. And some, according to her, such as the main character, deserve punishment for the lack of team spirit and composure, and if this happens again, then the choice is small, and therefore she asked either to go to study or wait for death. Feng Yufan said that he was also responsible for what happened, and would try to work with the main character as soon as possible. The commander asked the main character after the meeting if he believed that Feng Yufan wanted to kill him. The main character answered positively. He went on to say that although he does not have direct evidence, he has not been at ease since he volunteered to help. He further said that before Yezilan would have abandoned him in order to save herself, but this time she saved him for her own purposes. He suggested that her goal might be to prevent anyone from dying on their first mission under her command. But he doesn't understand why Feng Yufan wants to kill him, because there were no disagreements between them. The commander said that he would observe from the side and asked to wait until he collected enough information. Yezilan looked through the hidden camera footage and saw that Feng Yufan's testimony was true. But she noticed that before the mutant took him, he threw some kind of glowing object, and she wondered what exactly he threw. At that moment, the commander came to her and, asking for forgiveness for the intrusion, asked if she was free. After her positive response, he said that he came about Feng Yufan and the main character. He also said that he wanted to look at their archives to help them work together better. She gave him the disk and told him that all the materials downloaded from the Horizon base were on it, and that he could directly access it. He also asked if she could change her mind regarding the punishment for the main character following the task, since he was still a newbie. She replied that it was not his concern, and that she herself would decide what to do. According to her, he is only required to carefully organize training. After he left, she thought that she assigned Feng Yufan to keep an eye on the main character, but he was doing something wrong. First a zombie, then a way to hide its presence, and then a monster. She decided that she needed to report this to Mr. Li Yuting, and off she went. And a monster followed her, which she did not feel. Meanwhile, Feng Yufan was walking along the embankment and remembered that, although earlier than he had planned, fortunately, everything was still under his control. Next, he took out the purple core of the zombie king and threw it into the water and asked someone to come out. After that, the zombie puppets came out of the water at his call and became ready for his commands. Yezilan eventually came to Li Yuting and showed the video footage. She further said that she doubted that Feng Yufan had any ability to summon zombies. It seems more like he wanted to find out the source of the noise. When he asked why, she replied that she didn't know. He further asked if Commander Liu was aware. She replied that he did not know yet, but in her opinion, he also clearly noticed something. He asked to get close to him and also keep an eye on Feng Yufan. At this moment, he did not finish speaking because he was interrupted by one of his subordinates, who reported the discovery of 3 giants attacking the base of the Gecko squad. Yezilan said that she received an emergency alert from Commander Liu and asked for permission to immediately send soldiers there. He replied that the time had not yet come for this. He said that since the main character was able to destroy the zombie king, there is no need to rush too much. Meanwhile, the main character saw that these were unusual zombies and decided to activate the system. While he was deciding what to do, the commander stopped the monster for a while. He further ordered all survivors to listen to his orders. He said that Yunke, Zhou Jiqiang, and Zhao Lin were responsible for eliminating this giant, and that the main character would take care of it. Next, he had a question. What will the main character do in such conditions when he cannot use what he taught him? The main character changed his class to a magician and launched a concentration of energy, hoping that it would kill the giant. Next, he used the release of double dark absorption magic. But seeing that he only injured one hand, he did not understand why everything was like that. Seeing the high-speed regeneration, he changed his class to an assassin, choosing the most secretive and fastest one to get to the giant's head. He suggested that if you cut it into pieces, then the speed of regeneration will no longer be important. Then he put all 10 points into a counterattack and continued the fight. At this moment, Yezilan came to them and was very surprised to see Feng Yufan. He told her that he could not allow her to come to their aid. Sometime after cutting off his head, he thought that he was already finished. But he was mistaken, because after this the giant already had 2 heads and 4 arms, and he not only quickly regenerated, but also split into 2. Seeing that neither physical nor magical damage was taking place on him, He realized that it would be even more difficult with him than with the Zombie King. Then he saw that the giant froze and questions arose about what happened and why he froze. He further saw that his regeneration center was in his stomach, which was considered very strange. He decided that 10 points in stealth would completely hide the trajectory of the strike, increasing his movement speed. He remembered that it was with the help of surprise that he had eliminated the Zombie King. Then, after activating the executioner skill and throwing 10 points there, he managed to hit exactly at the weak point, although his dagger broke in the process. After this, the giant moved for some more time and froze again. The main character assumed that it was due to electricity, and that it seemed that this was his weakness. Meanwhile, Yezilan fought with Feng Yufan and realized that the strength of this creature was the same as that of the Zombie King. The main character changed the class to the creator, and loaded 10 points into creating a stun gun with maximum power. He then attacked this giant with the help of a created stun gun and killed him. After killing the giant, the system issued a notification that the task to eliminate the giant master, the puppet, had been successfully completed, after which it suggested that after changing the level, change equipment, and eliminate the Zombie King. He accepted a new task and went to kill the new Zombie King located near Yezilan. Seeing the main character, she asked what happened to his equipment, and said that she had long suspected. He told her that she had better get out quickly if she didn't want to die here. Meanwhile, Li Yuting was informed that the Gecko squad continued to fight, and that out of 3 giants, only 1 was destroyed. He was also informed that Commander Liu had already sent a request for help many times. The commander asked to be informed that the nearest Ebola squad was on alert, and that it would arrive soon. He also realized that the main character seemed more and more interesting over time. The giant, meanwhile, told the main character that this was a pleasant surprise, because initially he wanted to take revenge for the eye, but suddenly realized that it had the same power as him. He further added that it would be better to eat him, because then they will become one and will be able to subjugate this world. The main character said that he would first think about whether and how he could escape from here. The giant said that he would eat it first, and only then would he think about it, and he attacked after his words to the main character. Then, after fighting a little, the main character used black magic with absorption. Fei Yufan thought that in the Zombie King's memories, the protagonist could only use magic after changing class, and why he could now use it directly became unclear to him. Zhao Lin, meanwhile, was very seriously injured, and the giant, in Yonki's opinion, is too strong and is at the level of a Zombie King. At this moment, Li Yuting came to them and used the broken dreams with a suffering soul. Yonke realized that this was cool, because he dealt with the giant with 1 finger. He asked to leave the rest to the Ebola squad while he would take her to the shelter. Yezilan approached them and the commander asked her why she arrived so late, and whether she should have ended everything already. She replied that Feng Yufan blocked her path and turned into a Zombie King. At the moment, according to her, the main character was busy fighting him, so she was able to run here for help. The commander asked if he was facing the 2nd Zombie King in a row. She replied that everything was correct and that she suspected that he was somehow connected with the king of the zombies, and that it was from there that he got such power. The Zombie King, meanwhile, did not understand why the main character hid his true power when he deprived him of his eye, and where he even came from. Next, the Zombie King decided that first he needed to hit with all his might, and then pick the moment and retreat. But the main character grabbed him, and he told him that he underestimated him. But if he kills him, then the other Zombie Kings in the area will begin to act, and then he will definitely not be saved. Saying that he was too talkative, he killed him. But the commander came up to him from behind and said that it seemed that he had become stronger. The main character asked if he also decided not to hide his strength anymore. The commander asked him not to let down his guard because he could not be sure that no one was watching him. The main character said that there was no time to think about this, because he needed to help Yonka first. Li Yuting asked the main character to drop his weapon, and also said that he was suspending the mission, and that he should go with him to the horizon for further investigation. The commander said that there was some kind of misunderstanding. The commander said that there was no need to explain himself for him, because they would sort everything out in Horizon. At that moment, another monster arrived, and the commander asked all the teams to return to base and not to worry about the main character, because in his opinion, he himself would do a great job. Yonka asked if they needed help because that creature seemed too strong. The commander replied that it was not necessary because in order to unlock his potential, he must know how great his strength is. During the battle, the monster said that after recovery, he could copy the abilities and techniques that he used. At Horizon, Yezilan reported to the commander that the drone had been accessed, but the image did not show any combat. The commander asked if it was possible that he was out of order. The commander said that this was strange, because when he monitored the situation, he received relevant information only about 3 giants. He further asked Yezilan if she really accidentally stumbled upon Feng Yufan during his battle with the giant. Oe responded positively. The commander further said that even though she and Feng Yufan could hide their aura, things like destruction and smoke could not be hidden. The commander asked if this could be the ability of the Zombie King, and if there could be an ability or magic interfering with the drone. The commander further said that the magic that creates parallel space is capable of this, and being under the influence of this power, they cannot see him, but he, being out of action, fools them. The commander further said that he can assume that within this parallel space, he is capable of being reborn an unlimited number of times. The commander asked if he should tell the main character about this. Yezilan answered in the negative because the commander is now watching him, and they will just check whether he himself can find a way to deal with him. The commander said that stop making noise, because even if they told him about it, he would hardly be able to find a way to eliminate the Zombie King. At some point, the main character realized that he was wrong from the very beginning, because his ability is not restoration, but rebirth. He also realized that it was for this reason that the system made a mistake in detecting his weak point, because all this was just an illusion, and now he understood how to kill him completely. He ran further into the attack, changed his class to builder, and blocked the spear's attack with a hammer. Next, he decided to absorb the force of the blow by creating a dark enhancement crystal. He then doubled his absorption and was finally able to destroy the Zombie King. The commander, through the drone, now saw what happened and sent the Ebola squad there. He was then approached by members of Ebola squad and told him that, in accordance with Commander Lee's orders, they were to take him to Horizon for further investigation. They came to the hospital and Dr. Hu, the head of the hospital, told the main character that before starting to examine him, he needed to undergo a standard procedure for determining physical data. He wondered if they really wanted to investigate him. The situation seemed a little strange to him, and the doctors were silent. Seeing that Dr. Hu was only busy with the equipment, he wondered if he was being too overzealous about this. Then he remembered that he had not visited his brother for a long time, and he wondered how he was doing. He decided that after all this, he would need to go check on him. At that moment, his arms and legs were chained, and Dr. Hu, pointing a gun at him, asked him to die, addressing him as the king of the zombies. Meanwhile, the commander said that the new addition to the detachment must undergo a 5-kilometer night run. The squad members agreed with his order. Yunka approached the commander and asked how much he knew about the protagonist's secret. The commander asked her if the young lady of the Yun family had begun to care about the commoners. She replied that she was not a young lady and the Yun family had nothing to do with her. At the moment of pointing the cannon, the main character changed class to warrior and used protective magic. After the cannon flew off, Dr. Hu attacked with a sword, and the main character asked why he was attacking because he was not his enemy. The doctor said that he is the king of the zombies and therefore he must die because that is the order. The main character asked whose order this was, and whether Li Yuting really gave it to him. At the same moment, a man asked Yezilan why she didn't report the main character to him. She apologized to Mr. Yun for this and said that because of Li Yuting, she was unable to report in a timely manner. The main character thought that this all looked like a conspiracy, and therefore he needed to leave here as soon as possible. After leaving the door, a warrior attacked him. Dr. Hu told Li Yuting that he was sorry because the main character actively resisted. He also said that he did not control him well and they had several conflicts. The commander told the main character that if he cooperates with them, then everything will end soon. The main character asked what he was going to do. The commander said he needed him to cooperate with the investigation. The main character said that the doctor clearly wants to kill him. The commander asked to take him to another office where he would look after him. He went on to say that if he did not cooperate, he would never see his brother again. Meanwhile, members of the Ebola squad came to the protagonist's awakened brother and said that they had been ordered to escort him to a confidential treatment center to continue his rehabilitation. He asked for clarification because he did not quite understand what they meant. He was told that they did not have such authority and could only escort him. The brother thought that this seemed to be a serious matter and could somehow be connected with his brother. The commander was informed that a basic medical examination revealed nothing. The commander asked if there really were any genetic mutations or anything like that. Dr. Hu responded that there is currently no evidence to support the mutation. The commander asked where he got the strength to destroy the Zombie King. Dr. Hu replied that after conducting the examination, he underestimated it, because it was an A result, but he had previously been assigned to a C-rank squad. The commander said that the difference between them was huge and asked the doctor how he could explain it. The doctor replied that based on the results of research, they are inclined to believe that supernatural abilities come from a flash in the subconscious. He further said that this could have been caused by a certain stimulus that gave impulses to his powerful subconscious. He also added that a person who carries supernatural abilities determines their level through the awakening process at school, and then trains to become a punisher. Thus, according to him, he who was unable to awaken his powers after several times suddenly manifested powerful superpowers, which is an exception among special cases. The commander said that it turns out he has abilities, but they don't know why they are limited. He further asked whether the incident of saving his younger brother, coupled with his internal guilt, could suddenly come out with particular force. The doctor replied that this is the most logical explanation now. The commander said that this was quite interesting. Next, the commander asked for a simple dummy force to test his instantaneous explosive power. Next, the main character was informed that they would now simulate an anomalous creature in order to test it. However, they cannot tell him the direction of the attack. The doctor said that he must use his powers to destroy it as soon as possible. The main character decided to first pretend that he was cooperating with them, because he needed to find a chance to get out of here with his brother. As a result of this research, only 0.15 of a second passed from target detection to its destruction. The commander asked the doctor to come with him because he wanted to ask him something. The doctor agreed, and they left. When leaving, the doctor asked Zhang Xian to mark the report summary as top secret and send it to Mr. Li. The next morning, the doctor brought the main character breakfast and said that there was nothing to worry about, because there was no poison there. The main character said that considering that just yesterday he wanted to kill him with his own hands, and today he brings him breakfast, he cannot be sure of this. The doctor said that yesterday he was too rash and jumped to conclusions without enough information, so he apologizes. He further said that his wife and daughter died at the hands of zombies, so he hates monsters. Leaving him, he said that he hoped for understanding, because he also knew how painful it was to lose loved ones. The main character said that it was not important and asked how his little brother was doing and when he could pick him up. The doctor replied that the commander decided that first he should take care of himself and asked to be prepared for the fact that at 10, they will continue to test his abilities. Then, after some time in Sky City, number 6 in the central zone of the testing ground, the doctor told the main character that the next test would be conducted on a candidate who needed to be eliminated by changing the class. He also said that in order to collect more accurate data, he would stay here and draw up a protocol. Sometime after the assassination of the candidate, the doctor reported that the platform showed that he had been eliminated, but in order for the result to be accurate, he wanted to personally go up and make sure. The commander was informed that the core of the experimental material had mutated and resurrected. The commander wondered if this was really the doctor's idea. The main character wondered if this was another monster with reincarnation skills. After killing him completely, the main character asked the doctor if he was okay. The doctor answered positively and asked him to go to his place while they cleaned everything up. After the doctor left, the commander told him that it was not good to change candidates without permission. The doctor replied that this was the fastest way to determine if his powers were coming from zombies. The commander asked if that was why he had deliberately shown weakness, to see if he had any humanity left in him to save him. The commander also asked if he had ever thought about what he would do if it were a zombie force destroying the candidates and eating him again. The doctor replied that he would accept his fate and use the abilities of an A-rank punisher, dying along with him. Meanwhile, the protagonist realized that this system allows magic to be automatically attached to the dagger right during the test, and thus, his consciousness can directly manifest itself in his skills. Next, the doctor asked him to get ready because he would take him to his brother. He also said that he is now being transferred to a secret treatment center. Ordinary people can't get in, so he asked a good friend to help him, and he made a virtual ID. He also added that this is why now we need to disguise ourselves a little in order to match their virtual personality, in order to avoid problems. He also warned that the virtual personality cannot remain there for a long time. Having brought him to the place, he told the main character that the zombie endotoxin is very strong, and it is a miracle that it can recover without mutations. He will soon recover and be discharged from the hospital. The main character looked at his brother and realized that he had recovered even better than he thought. He further asked why his brother wanted to be transferred there for treatment, because the conditions in Skyrim City were no worse. The doctor replied that he didn't know that either, and besides, it looked like an order from the commander. After that, they went to the parking lot of the secret treatment center, and the doctor said that they would return as soon as possible and prepare his follow-up investigation project. At that moment, a warrior from behind put a weapon to the main character's head and said that if he does not want to die, then he must do what he says. The doctor asked the officer to listen to him. He further said that he was his doctor and that there was some kind of misunderstanding. The doctor went on to tell the protagonist that he had nothing to worry about because they wouldn't kill him with a blade like he did. And no one will poison the food, so he can eat in peace. Next, the doctor attacked the fighters together with the main character and suggested running away after that. Having run into some corner, the doctor said that the cameras would not detect them in this place, so they were safe for now. The main character told him that during the attack, he said that he would kill them, so it was not profitable for them to hide. The doctor said that Skyrim City has its own rules. He further said that in addition to the Council of Elders, the top of the tower can be visited either by rich aristocrats who do not want to awaken their power, or by powerful assassins with superior abilities. Most of these people do not obey the leadership of the Ebola group, and minor skirmishes are commonplace, to which the council turns a blind eye. A little more trouble if there was no murder can be solved with money, but if he uses his superpower and kills someone, the Council of Elders will not sit idly by. The doctor further said that as far as research is concerned, his superpowers are considered a secret, and now it seems that there are traitors in the Commander's Research Institute. The main character asked what he meant and whether this was not an ordinary investigation, why there were still traitors and what they were going to do with him. The doctor replied that he was only responsible for execution, and if he had the opportunity, he could directly ask the commander. He also added that the problem is that those two are wearing concealment camouflage and do not know their whereabouts. But we need to find a way to escape unnoticed. The main character said that he activated the stealth skill and therefore he too is no longer visible. He also said that he knew where they were. After that, he proposed a plan according to which he would distract them while he could leave, after which they would meet outside. At some point, they were approached and told that they were taking them back on the orders of the commander. Another doctor said that this was a weapon of extreme combat, created using artificial intelligence technology in combination with zombie flesh, and he would take some of their debris for study. After some time, the commander asked the doctor in living room 23 why he was acting without permission. He also asked if he wanted the main character to see that he had feelings of affection for his brother, and then decide that his powers had nothing to do with zombies. He further added that now that the main character was missing, the plans were thwarted. The doctor said that this was all his responsibility, and he had already sent someone to search and soon everything would be known. The commander said that the last time he arbitrarily transformed a candidate, he let him go. But if this time the main character is not found, then he himself knows what punishment he will deserve. The commander came to Captain Yezilan and said that the main character had been in Skyrim City for many days and still had not returned, so he wondered if anything had happened to him. She replied that if he had nothing to hide, then there was no need to worry about him. The commander asked if this was what she talked to Li Yuting about. She asked him to watch his language and said that the commander wanted to study it because his abilities raised many questions. She further added that when the time comes and it turns out that he is connected with zombies, his people will also be held responsible. The commander told her that if anything happened to him, she would pay for it. Then after he left, Yunka came to her and asked how she could help. The captain asked how the training was going, how things were going, and if there were any difficulties. Yunka asked to get straight to the point. The captain said that arrogance runs in her veins, and this is quite expected, because she is the daughter of the Yun family from Skyrim City. The girl asked how she knew about her family and what she was talking about. The captain said that her father came to the base a few days ago and they talked for a long time. He asked to take care of her like a loving parent, and she is sure that she will cope with this, and whether she appreciates it or not is her business. The girl said that she has nothing in common with the Yun family, so she doesn't need her guardianship, and she also said that she had to run errands. The captain asked her to stay away from the commander and not get into unnecessary trouble. After leaving the office, she realized that her words had meaning, because he would not have come here just to see her. Next, she decided that she first needed to make sure whether it was because of the main character that he came here, and then report to the commander if necessary. At the same moment, some important person came into the commander and told the commander that, as he requested, they sent more people to investigate the disappearance of the main character. Dr. Hu said we should check his room first. Dr. Hu asked the man to copy the remaining important information about him and place it in a top-secret bunker, to which he agreed and realized that it looked like they had discovered a problem that needed attention. But then he thought that it was too late. After all, when he collects information and transfers it to the Yun family, 5 million will be transferred to him. After all, life in Skyrim City is far from fabulous. Doctor Who said that the secret investigation into the main character's case was revealed, and therefore, just in case, he will give him top-secret information, because he is his old subordinate and he trusts him. Then he turned around sharply and, pointing his weapon, told him that he was a traitor, because he was sending information about his location with the main character, and that his excessive impatience gave him away. He replied that he was offered 5 million for sending a message, and that few would refuse such a thing. Then, after the attack, Doctor Who and the main character returned to the Sky City Institute. Doctor Who wrote a message to the main character saying that there might be people in this machine, so they are using encrypted communication. He also said that he had already guessed who the traitor was, and when he returned to the Institute, he would talk with the commander. He also asked to pretend to be missing, so that the traitor would mistakenly think that his master had succeeded. The doctor also said that he was using copying top-secret information as bait to expose him. The main character asked if he needed help. The doctor replied that he could handle it himself. The main character asked him to be careful and added that when he first saw him, he thought that he was an ordinary doctor. The doctor asked the traitor to put down the knife and go with him to the interrogation room, where he would tell about his goal and who was behind it all. The traitor attacked him, and the doctor said that since he controls the air, it means that he really is a punisher. The traitor asked if he really thought that he was a simple, soft-hearted researcher. He further said that now that he has the data, he can say hello to his wife and daughter. At that moment, the main character burst into the office, and the traitor said that he had really powerful power, but he needed to bring his corpse to Yun's house safe and sound in order to earn more money. The main character showed his strength even better, and the traitor asked how this was possible because he relied on the Yun family to strengthen his strength, but it was still not enough to fight him. After killing the traitor, the main character asked the doctor what kind of experiment this was and what kind of power it was. Then the commander ran in with other doctors and asked the doctor what had happened, and also asked to immediately call an ambulance. Next, the commander asked the doctor if he agreed to follow the protagonist's plan and why he didn't give a signal. The doctor replied that this is the best solution now, and there is no need for an ambulance. The commander remembered his words that he was using the power of an A-rank punisher to die along with him, and realized that it was worth predicting that he was determined to die and to prevent him from conducting research. The main character told the doctor that he needed to wait a little, because the commander and the ambulance team would be here soon. The doctor said that there was no need for that and also said that his power really came from the zombies. The source, according to him, may be hidden in an experiment many years ago. He told him this when they were alone, and he later told the commander that the main character's strength is reliable. The commander was further informed that a large number of suspected candidates had appeared in the slum area of District 26, and that Team Gecko was currently fighting there. The main character asked the commander for permission to return to the team, because they most likely do not have enough people right now. The commander allowed it and said that when he needed to explore it further, he would contact him again. The main character thanked him for this. The commander, after the protagonist left, ordered other subordinates to contact the medical examiner and transfer the bodies of Dr. Hu and Zhang Xiang for autopsy. He also said that it was necessary for people from the investigative committee to come, sign, and investigate the scene of the incident, and also asked to continue to monitor the main character. At some point in the battle, the commander said that there were too many beetles to cut them all down, and that most likely the Queen continued to create them. The captain asked him to go with Yunka to the Matrix Center because he should be here somewhere. Meanwhile, she and Zhou Jixiang will attract the beetles with firepower. The commander asked Yunka if she was okay and asked her to be careful. She replied that everything was fine and remembered the captain's wish to stay away from him. He went on to say that it seemed like the next street was also uneasy, but it will break through with a high power current. Seeing his strength, she wondered if he had not yet used his abilities to their full potential. Seeing a large monster, she asked if it was the queen beetle. He replied that they were just larger individuals. Then she saw something fall and asked who did it, and if reinforcements had really come to them. And this was the main character, who after that used cleansing magic and purgatory to destroy the beetles. After destroying all the beetles, the commander said that most likely this was only the first wave, and according to his assumption, the next one would soon arrive. The main character said that the commander was right, because when he was in the air he saw that the Matrix Center was on the corner 2 streets from here, so he needed to go there. At this moment, a huge monster approached the main character. The main character asked to leave it to him, after which the commander and Yunka ran away to the Matrix Center. He used an assassin with a slashing skill and began to fight. The captain came up and asked the main character why he returned. He replied that the commander and Yunka had gone to destroy the Matrix Center, and that they needed reinforcements as quickly as possible. He decided to start with Yunka and find out what the traitor Zhang Xiang said about the Yun family. The captain, meanwhile, did not understand why the main character returned, and whether the commander really didn't find out anything. Meanwhile, the commander and Yunka tried to get as close as possible to the uterus. The main character managed to save Yunka in time and asked her if she was injured. She answered in the negative and said that these zombies were much faster than the ones they had met before. Then, when everything calmed down a little, the captain came up and asked everyone to get ready for battle, because very soon they would destroy the queen. The main character suggested that the captain go to the border zone to continue killing beetles, and he himself will sort everything out here. Yunka said that there are a lot of them because even if they are candidates, he still cannot cope with them. The captain said that this was an excellent offer, and that this is exactly what they would do. But if anything happens, she immediately asked that they notify her about it. Continuing the battle, he realized that it was a pity that these zombies could not speak. Otherwise, they would tell him exactly how they want to die. At some point after completing one of the tasks, he received the Sea Eater skill, which allows him to absorb enemy damage for some time and return it several times stronger. Then all the other members of the squad saw a luminous pillar, and Yunka said that apparently the main character had figured everything out. The captain decided that she should report everything to Mr. Yoon as soon as possible. While running away, she told everyone that she would meet the main character and asked them to wait here. Yunka wondered since when she was so kind. Having run away, she thought that the investigation should have become a bone in his throat. But on the contrary, he had become stronger, and therefore apparently she would still have to speed up her plan a little. She contacted Mr. Yoon, who asked how the situation was. She replied that as he planned, the matrix was deciphered, and moreover, he became much stronger. He said that in his opinion it was even better because they needed his strength. He asked to continue monitoring him and asked to collect the remains of the monsters he destroyed and hand them over to him. After all, the information they have is limited, so this is very important. She asked what to do when he refused to obey him. He replied that then they would simply kill him because either he would be his or no one would get it. After all this, the commander asked the protagonist if such a powerful force was really activated by research. He replied that he did not know this. Next, the captain came and told the main character that she would ask the commander to reward him. She also announced that today everyone was specially gathered here to listen to the successful experience of destroying zombies of the main character. He said that it was not worth doing this, because it was better to spend this time training and improving himself. She asked him to watch his language and not bury himself, because she is, after all, the commander of the detachment. He further told her that it was good that she was sincere and then left the office. She wondered in her mind if he had decided to single-handedly destroy the candidates to show that his power was great enough to ignore. She further decided that when he became useless, she would definitely kill him with a gruesome death. The main character came to the gecko training base, and seeing one Yunka running there, ran up to her and asked why she was training alone and if she was okay with company. She said that she was surprised because the first time he spoke to her was not during the battle. He asked why she didn't come to the meeting. She replied that it was boring there and that it was better to run, then asked how he was doing in Skyrim City. He replied that it was nothing special, because there were just daily studies and interrogations. She said she could see that he didn't want to talk about it. She went on to say that it was very strange that he was asked for this study, and that she was wondering what the reason for it was. He replied that it was because of the captain's complaint after he saved her from an attacking zombie king. She said that since he saved her, and she blamed everything on her healthy head, then she had enough courage to finish her off right now. He said that if he had not saved her, she would have been eaten by the zombie king and become stronger, and then it would have been more difficult to kill him. She said that if she were him, even if she wouldn't have killed her, she wouldn't have saved her either. She also said that many Punishers want to stay in Skyrim City, and he could too. She also said that she heard that his brother was being treated here and asked why he did not return. He said that his goal was to become a powerful Punisher, and only then move with his younger brother to Skyrim City, and that the reason was not research or illness. She thought at that moment that in today's troubled world, such thinking was outdated. While they were talking, a request was made for all members of the squad to immediately gather in the 29th district for a patrol mission. After gathering all the members, the captain reported that judging by the notification from Skyrim City and the commander's order, it seems that there was suspicious zombie activity in the 29th district, after which she asked everyone to disperse. The main character did not understand why this time it was necessary to disperse and fight alone, instead of in groups of 2 people. Then he realized that something was wrong here, because he did not feel the aura of a zombie and the system also did not send any alarm signals. The commander met with the main character and asked if there was anything suspicious here, because the fog was getting thicker and it seemed to him more and more that something was wrong here, and that they were being followed. Meanwhile, someone had already knocked out Yunka, who also suspected that something was wrong. The commander asked to be careful with the commander because it is unlikely that he will let him go just like that. The main character asked if he really meant to say that he sent someone to spy on him. Then everyone was gathered back, and the captain reported that news had come from Skyrim that it was a false alarm from the system, so they were returning to base. The main character said that we need to find Yunka because she has not returned yet. The captain said that she had already been informed about her return, after which she was sent to another team. The main character said that he was still a little worried and asked him to check the video from the drone. She asked if he didn't believe her. Then he attacked her, and she even felt his power through protective magic. She further asked how he dared to attack her because she is a captain. He said that given that the soldiers were patrolling the area alone, and that Yunka had inexplicably disappeared, he decided that she did not deserve to be captain. The commander intervened and asked to stop. He further told him that she has status and techniques, and if he continues, he will not be able to remain on the team. The captain said that it's great that at least the commander understands what and how. The commander further told the protagonist separately that due to competition with her, he might never see his brother again. Next, at the private testing ground of the Yun family in Skyrim, under a 40-meter underground dome, Yunka woke up. Seeing Mr. Yun in front of her, she asked what he was doing here and what kind of place this was. He asked if she wanted to call him Dad because they had not seen each other for quite a long time. She replied that there was no point. He said she was as stubborn as her mother. She asked again what this place was. He took her to the location of the monster, and she remembered that they had encountered something similar before. She asked if he really raises zombies in captivity and then releases them into the wild. He replied that he was not interested in zombies, but rich people loved them. She asked what he meant. He said that the rich people of Skyrim spend a lot of money, betting it on the battle of zombies and punitive forces. If the Punisher wins, he receives a small part of the money, but the prize amount is much greater than the reward for a regular mission. In addition, Punishers can take the crystals of killed zombies and connect them to their hearts, strengthening their power. And if the zombie wins according to him, he can devour the Punisher's heart and also strengthen his strength. And of course he can kill him and transfer his power to the body of another, higher-level Punisher. She asked if they really risked their lives to kill zombies and protect Skyrim, and they made bets for fun, and she also asked if there was still at least something human left in them. He replied that it was just a business, and that he also received money for research from these huge sums. He further invited her to join as well because it was better than killing zombies in the slums. She said that she would never join this, after which she asked him to kill him before it was too late and bring her back immediately. He asked her if she had any special relationship with the main character. She wondered if he might be his target and replied that they were just teammates. He further asked if this is true. Then what does she think? Will he come to save her if something happens to her? At the base of the Gecko squad in room 302, the commander decided to go out on a night patrol. Seeing the open door to the main character's room, he decided to go in there and check. Not finding anyone there, he went to room 305, which belonged to Yunke, and seeing that there was no one there either, he realized that the captain was hiding something, because there were no signs of moving. Realizing this, he decided that he needed to look for some evidence at the site of their daytime patrol. But not only he was looking for them, but the main character also did this. The main character did not find anything other than traces of the battle with the captain, and this seemed strange to him. He remembered that during the day the commander said that someone was watching them, and he suggested that someone could have grabbed and taken away Yunka. At some point he saw something with the word Yun, similar to the family crest of the Yun family in Skyrim, and the question arose in his mind how he could end up here. Hearing the sound, he immediately rushed to attack, but saw the commander in front of him, who stopped his strike. The commander asked why he came here, because it was already very late and it was high time to sleep. The main character asked if he was following him. He replied that he was on night duty, and he became very curious, so he followed him. The main character said that he looked around in Yunki's room and found nothing there, but here he saw the coat of arms of the Yun family. The commander said there was no logic in her family's abduction. The main character said that he also doubted. He also added that he thought that she might know some family secret, and because of this they were trying to silence her. The commander said that she had not communicated with her family for a long time, and if they really wanted to force her to remain silent, then they did not need to wait until now, and the abandoned coat of arms was more like a trap. He further added that since he returned, he feels that something has changed. After all, he dares to be insolent to the captain right in the face and cares about Yunka, and in his opinion, his trip to Skyrim does not look like research. The main character said that indeed a lot of things happened in Skyrim that you can't tell right away, but he knows his power, the source of which is connected with the Yun family. The commander asked if that was why he wanted to find a clue here, but since the captain did not agree with him about this situation, and that is why they had a conflict. The main character confirmed this and said that he was not going to sit still. He further added that no matter what, he must go to the Yun family to save Yunka. The commander asked if he knew where to look for them. The main character answered negatively. The commander said that he had some contacts with which he could help find them. The main character thanked him. The next day, the captain came to the training base of the Gecko squad and asked the commander why the main character did not come to training. The commander replied that last night he received news that his brother had become worse, and at night he went to Skyrim, where he believed he would stay for several days. The captain said that they could continue training, but she herself thought that everything was happening exactly as Mr. Yun had predicted. Last night she talked to him in her room and he told her that the insect eggs she sent were very valuable, because they were examining them right now. And regarding the concerns, he told her that he thought that there was no need to pay attention to it, because he would leave a small clue, after which the main character would definitely come. The main character came to the villa of the Yun family on the slope of the Skyrim City Mountain on Yuyuan Mountain in the Jingzhe region, and a question arose after what he saw. Is everyone here also so afraid of a zombie attack that the villas are guarded by private armies? Next, he decided to use the skills of a civil engineer to look at the structure of the villa. On the map, he saw that the security in the northeast direction was relatively weak. Next, he decided that he needed to maximize his stealth skills in order to carry out a direct raid. Further, he realized that if the villa's equipment could intercept his system, then secrecy, on the contrary, would only add unnecessary problems. Therefore, you need to come up with another way to get there. Having taken the equipment from one of the guards, he realized that it looked like a villa, but in fact it was a base or some kind of laboratory, and he became interested in what experiments the Yun family was conducting. At some point, another guard asked him what was the matter and why he was not at the third point yet. He replied that he was just going there. He realized that the real guard could be noticed quickly, so he decided to hide him in the grass. The third point is close enough to the control center, so you need to find an opportunity to slip there and see where Yunke is being held. One of the guards told Roger that he and someone else were to conduct a routine patrol of the hospital courtyard. Roger told the main character that he would go with him to patrol the hospital's courtyard. The guard standing upstairs while he was changing didn't notice him, so now he can enter the courtyard. Mr. Yun looked at the cameras and said that as he thought, the main character came to save her and that this show was especially for her. She asked if he wanted to kill him. He replied that he was a very talented person and that he only needed his strength, without which he could continue to live. But everything, of course, will also depend on whether he understands anything. Roger pointed the main character to one of the places and said that something was happening there. The main character said that he would go check and ran there. Meanwhile, Roger reported that everything was going according to plan. Mr. Yun replied that he saw all this and asked him to return to the starting point, and then let everything take its course. He further said that the performance would begin very soon. Yunka said she hoped he wouldn't kill him. He asked if it was she who said that she hardly knew him, and now she was asking him to spare him. She said that he saved her several times during battles with zombies, and that she also heard that he has a younger brother whom he must take care of. He asked her to remember this when she saw his real strength. The main character approached one of the doors and realized that there was a blind spot, and therefore, with the help of a construction engineer's master keys, the door could be easily opened. At that moment, he was attacked by a man, but the main character noticed the attack and reacted to it. That man said that he completely hid his breath, but he was still able to react to it, and that now he realized that it was not for nothing that Mr. Yun liked him. The main character had questions about how he liked him, and whether Mr. Yun already knew that he was here. The man asked to follow him after that, because he had been waiting for him for quite a long time. The main character did not understand how this was possible and how he knew that he would come to save Yunka. He came to save Yunka in the hope that through her he could find out whether the Yun family was connected to his power. But it seems that Mr. Yun found out about this and deliberately grabbed her. This person also hides his energy, but his powerful strength is still clearly felt. And what is also strange is that when he attacked him, the system foresaw it, but could not determine its level. Next, he noticed that the speed had dropped sharply, and now pitch darkness was rising all around, which is why it was not at all clear where the elevator was going. Finally getting out of the elevator, he asked what kind of place this was and where they ended up. Through the hologram, Mr. Yun said that they had finally met. Yunka was sitting next to him. The main character asked where they were. Mr. Yun replied that he was right in the middle of things, and that he was incredibly interested in his power. After all, if with her help he can kill the Punisher, he will immediately save Yunka, and if he can't, then he will take away his power. After the start of the battle, the main character hid, and the Punisher said that this is a place for battles, so there is no need to hide like a mouse. The main character came out, switched to engineer mode, and launched a counterattack. But during the attack, the Punisher hit the main character so that he flew far away. Mr. Yun said that this was all because the evasion was untimely, and the retaliatory attack was too slow, and the further it went, the worse. The Punisher approached the main character, who was lying in pain, and grabbed him by the throat and said that a regime change was only a matter of time, and it looked like Mr. Yun was wrong about him. The main character told him already behind him that he could not even think that playing with a puppet would be so much fun. The main character further added that from the very beginning, he realized that he was very strong, and that this time it would be difficult to save the person. So to counter him, he created a puppet while he kept his distance. He also said that he used this puppet to absorb his power and then, switching to magician mode, return everything to him in a double dose. Next, he attacked the Punisher and, seeing him lying on the ground, thought that he had defeated him. Yunka said that this is cool and it looks like he won after all. Mr. Yun wondered if he was used to not using his full strength or if he was afraid of something. He further told the protagonist that he could not win this battle without putting in his best efforts. The main character said that he had already won, so Yunka asked him to quickly give it back. Glospet Yun asked to look back and see if he really won. At this point, the Punisher recovered and said that every time he uses this power, he experiences incredible pleasure. Seeing two heads, the main character remembered that this was the same ability as those zombies they destroyed earlier. He also thought that the Sea Eater would probably destroy him, but it was unclear whether the mass destruction skill would be effective against one enemy. The Punisher said that since he was dumbfounded from shock, then in this case he would now please him doubly. After the attack, the Punisher said that he was really very arrogant, because he could only hide and nothing more. Even his puppet didn't do that. A message came from the system that if he destroys the threat, he will unlock the Bloody Doctor class. Remembering the puppet, he decided that he could use it, and sent his army of zombie soldiers to the Punisher. Next, he asked the system to subtract 5 points to launch the Sea Eater, and so he managed to destroy the threat. Watching what was happening, Mr. Yun did not understand what kind of power this was. Yunka asked if he believed that the Punisher could have such power, and if he wanted to create people like the main character. The system offered to unlock the Bloody Doctor class right now, and the main character agreed to this. Mr. Yun congratulated the main character on his victory and said that with their agreement he could take Yunka. He went on to say that he would take the elevator in the back down to the underground warehouse where she was waiting for him. He wondered if this was all because he expected more. He ran further to the girl he saw. He realized that it was not Yunka and that she was unconscious, but he decided to save her too. Then he heard a terrifying sound to his ears and felt some strange force in his body. Yunka asked what was wrong with the main character and what was that sound that was unlike anything else. Mr. Yun said that in previous battles they discovered that the mutant leader could make a strange sound, and that when resonating with other mutated creatures, this sound enhanced their attack several times. He further said that if the main character has the power of a zombie in his body, then this sound will make him fiercer and more bloodthirsty, and that girl was just bait. He further added that he is looking forward to killing her because he is sure that it will be an exciting spectacle. Yunka told him that he was an inhuman creature and that she would kill him, but she was unable to free herself from the locks, and he told her that with her strength she would not be able to break these 2 locks. Next, he addressed her as his obedient daughter and asked her to simply enjoy with him. As expected, the main character began to try to kill the girl, who asked not to kill her and to let her go. She told him that she has a little brother to take care of, so she asks him to let her go. As soon as he remembered his brother, he got a headache, after which he decided not to think about him. And he began to ask further what part of the body to start eating her from, because she is a very appetizing human girl. She said that he could kill her, but he must spare her brother because she promised to protect him. Yunka asked him to wake up and not give in to this sound because it would only harm him now. At this moment, the main character again remembered his brother, who once told him that now he would protect him. Then he was transported to some strange place, after seeing which he did not understand what was happening and where he was. Then he saw his brother and asked what he was doing here and what kind of place this was, unlike anything else. The brother said that this was Skyrim and that he had come to pick it up. The main character asked why they were taking him and what it meant. The brother said that he had already spoken with the commander, who said that he wanted them to stay in Skyrim. He also said that this is why he can no longer think about the vile Ye Zilong and the giant zombie king, because he has a super cool brother. The main character asked if this meant that now he would no longer protect him. The brother confirmed and said that this is only because Skyrim is a paradise on Earth, where there is no danger and where there is simply nothing to protect him from. The main character said that he was not confused at all for a second, and remembered that he was rather weak. Next, he asked to show what he was worth. He realized that his brother must be the embodiment of this strange noise, and that this space was most likely an illusion. Next, he saw information that among the anti-epidemiological skills, other than physical attacks at close range, other attack methods and intervention weapons were not available, and the main skill is using the drug. Realizing that this noise was created by a weapon, he had a question about how to get rid of it. The enemy said that he really wants to continue playing with him, but his task is extremely simple, and it is to merge him with himself. While the main character squirmed from the reappearance of this sharp, nasty sound, the enemy asked if he himself wanted to become a part of it. The enemy told the protagonist that after merging, he would no longer be afraid of this sound. The main character began to fight, and the enemy asked how this was possible, because he simply physically could not resist this voice. The main character replied that this is called cheating. The enemy continued to ask how this was possible. The main character said that he smeared anesthesia on his forehead, and at first was confused by the strange noise, but now he has a hypnotic implant implanted in him. The enemy said that this was impossible because in his opinion, a simple human being could not have such an ability. The main character said that he would slowly die by listening to this sound over and over again. As a result, the main character let the girl go and she remained alive, and he got rid of the influence. Yunka said that she knew she was wrong, because the main character was still able to return. Mr. Yun didn't understand what kind of ability this was without soundwave control. He even thought that this could be some new species between people and lost families. Yunka asked to let her go immediately, because she was not interested in his perverted research. She also said that she knew that if she reported this to the Council of Elders, he was unlikely to be punished. He said that she could leave here, but he would let the main character make his own choice. Next, he asked her to go down with him to the testing site and wait for him there. Meanwhile, the main character told the girl that she had nothing to fear, because he came to save her and therefore they would soon get out. He carried it out and met Mr. Yun, who once again congratulated him on passing the test and demonstrating incredible strength and power. The main character said that enough empty words because he is ready to take Yunka and this girl and leave with them. Mr. Yun said that this girl is his experimental material, so he cannot take her away. The main character asked if he was really asking to leave her so that he could continue the inhuman fusion experiments. Mr. Yun replied that he had misunderstood, and that zombies had evolved a lot since their appearance, and that just the power of punitive forces would not be enough. That is why, according to him, he's exploring the power of merging the Punisher with the zombies, because only by knowing themselves and their enemies can they win all battles. He further added that although this technique is not yet perfect, it gave him hope because at the moment he is entering the merger most stably. He offered him cooperation with him, because then he would be able to stay in Skyrim for a long time with his brother, and for all requests, he would receive the most first-class goods, and this is work that will benefit all of humanity. He also said that it was not surprising that his abilities were growing so quickly, because he had been working for the Yun family from the very beginning, and Yunka's disappearance was also part of the plan. The captain said meanwhile that she does not do anything for anyone, and that she only does it for herself. Next, she asked to urgently report to the commander that the main character had deserted, and since she could not block him, he wounded her, and also caught the commander. The commander asked to hold the defense a little longer until he sent someone there immediately. The eyes sent there earlier were also disabled because they were connected. Mr. Yun asked the main character if he had thought. The main character asked if he wanted to use his brother to convince him to become his test subject, like the monster that materialized. Mr. Yun said that if he thought it was vile, he could say differently, and he further said that they could help him understand his strength and his relationships with his loved ones. Next, he asked the main character not to be surprised, because he believed that he came to save her because they liked each other, and he was worried about her too. Yunka asked him not to say that, because she didn't say that she liked him. The main character asked how he guessed. He replied that it was not difficult to guess. After all, after the commander left, he suddenly began to pay attention to Yunka. He further said that in addition to the information about the power from Doctor Who and the information they received from Zhang Xiang, one would think that their family should know the source of his power before kidnapping him directly into Skyrim. He also said that it was a pity that Ji Yuting was blocked. The main character said that if he caught Yunka, he would definitely come to save her. Mr. Yun said that with his current strength, he wants to stay in Skyrim. But you can't just go down. He further said that there are 4 main forces in Skyrim City, including Yun Ling from the Yun family, Tianzong from Li Yuting, Sharp Blade from the Nangong family, and Sabretooth from the Green Group. Each faction has several crusade units, and if he wants to gain a foothold, he must ensure that his abilities become the head camp among the members of these units. He also said that he has the potential, and he has the strongest research technology among the 4 factions, and the ability to cooperate with each other to achieve a win-win goal, and that there is something better than that. After the protagonist agreed, Yunka asked if he had gone crazy and if he really wanted to unite with this beast. Next, the main character announced his 2 conditions, among which the first is that Yunka will never be in prison again. And the second condition is the release of the girl, and permission for her to return so that she can take care of her brother. Mr. Yun said that it was easy, and that he could guarantee it right now that the Huying she took would remain theirs. Further, in the main city of Skyrim City, the brother of the protagonist came to the commander and asked if he was looking for him. The commander showed him the video and asked what he thought about the fighter's capabilities. The brother replied that his speed and strength were excellent, and that it looked like he could change his occupation. The brother also added that for some reason this man seemed a little familiar to him. The commander said that this fighter was his brother, who was involved in the case in which the leader of the raiders was killed. The brother said that this was not possible, and that most likely he was mistaken, because his brother is incompetent, and in order to kill the leader of the raiders, you need to put in a lot of effort. The commander said that his brother has incredible abilities, and as for the truth of this matter, he will investigate it as quickly as he can. He went on to say that he hoped that whoever came to him would not go to Skyrim until the results came out. The gentleman, meanwhile, brought the protagonist to the experimental center, where many fighters will come for intensive training, and where their first collaboration will also take place. Inside, he saw some girl ask Pon if he had breakfast, because he beats like a girl. She also said that his fist was so soft that she didn't feel any pleasure from it at all. The gentleman drew everyone's attention, and said that he had found a powerful fighter and asked everyone to compete with him. He also said that he hopes everyone can show him housekeeping skills. One of the test subjects asked if this was the same Dina he picked up at the slum dump, but this girl is good and looks very energetic. Then he reached out to her and asked to touch her, but the main character stopped him. The girl saw how quickly he reacted and realized that this guy was good and that she was a little excited. The gentleman saw this and realized that Pangei's strength was stronger than Yuan Su's, and it was a little difficult for the protagonist when he competed with Yuan Su before. Next, the master questioned whether he really felt better now, and whether it was possible that his abilities could be improved after the battle. The gentleman, after some thought, told Panger that the problem of underestimating the enemy still had not changed. He said it was just a minor nuisance, so it doesn't count. Panger went on to tell the head Nero that he would definitely teach him a lesson at the official competition. The gentleman asked to get closer to the point and said that the rules of the test are very simple and based on the main character. He also asked to compete with him one by one, and the one who can kill him as quickly as possible will win, because this will be the team captain Li Xiao. Panger said it had to be him because he would make him kneel and beg for mercy. The main character said that it was too much trouble to attack one at a time and suggested attacking in twos because it was faster. Panger told him that he was too arrogant and suggested that he watch him teach him to be a man now. The girl asked how he was knocked down and why she couldn't see the main character at all. He laid her down further and asked her to be glad that he used the back of the knife, otherwise she would already be a dead carcass. Mentally, she asked to improve the skill of invisibility, because this would greatly help him in the future. Yunka looked at the main character's battle and realized that it was a little strange, because it felt like the main character had become stronger than before. The main character asked to do everything as soon as possible because he showed his sincerity and it was their turn. The gentleman directed something similar to a powerful suppression of airflow at one of the main character's opponents, and this opponent asked for forgiveness and promised that he really wouldn't do this again. The gentleman said that those around him would only follow his rules because there would be no next time. Next, the gentleman took the main character somewhere else and wanted to use the method of killing chickens and monkeys along the way in order to develop his abilities. After all, the abilities of the Yun surname are estimated to be comparable to those of Li Yuting. Approaching the right room, the gentleman said that in this room he could reveal the secret of success in life. Entering the room, he said that this is the largest personnel database center in Skyrim, and it doesn't matter whether a nobleman or a poor man came here. Here he will find everything his heart desires. The gentleman also said that if he worked well with him, he could help him with his biography in a matter of seconds. The main character said that as a fighter, he doesn't care what team he's on, because he's just worried about his brother's safety. The gentleman said that an unknown anomaly was discovered in Zone H in the almshouse, and it was his time to shine. Yunka asked if this area was Li Yuting's territory. The master said that they must prove it with their strength. The gentleman asked to take Li Quan and behave well, and they fled to Zone N. Meanwhile, in Area H, someone was fighting, and one of them asked the other if Lord Li's help had arrived yet. Another replied that reinforcements were arriving. The main character came to their aid along with Yunka, Wei Zhang, and many others. The main character asked Yunka and the other guys to settle the anomalies and leave the leader to him. At some point, the main character realized that he had some kind of strange premonition, and it was good that he was agile, because he almost trampled him into the ground. But the monster in front of him stood still, and it became unclear to him who, in this case, was attacking him from behind. He further suggested that this monster could split itself, and that this was an interesting twist from the master. He also realized that he hypnotizes the visual neurons, creating the illusion that the enemy is not moving, while in fact the entity has already moved to another area. One of the fighters, meanwhile, watching the main character, realized that the powers of this man were not very similar to the powers of the Punisher, and he had a question when the fighting abilities of the main character became so strong. Punger said that he couldn't believe that they, weaklings, still had to wait for some help. Another one of the fighters told Yunka that since she was previously in the Gecko squad, it means she went over to Yunling. He also said that she was just in time, because he would take her to Lord Li and receive a reward. The main character attacked him and asked him to take his people and leave if he did not want to die. The fighter said that this is the same magic as the king of the zombies, and given this, in his opinion, he is definitely a monster. Next, he asked all his people to leave, and they ran away. When leaving, he told the main character that this was not a Wonian yet. Punger said that as expected from the captain, they dealt with the king-class zombies quickly. The girl said that her attitude toward society had changed a lot after this fight. Punger said he didn't know what the captain was capable of, but now he saw it. Already at the Yunlin base, in the team's residential area, the main character asked Yunke if she could help him find information about him. She asked him to speak more quietly. He also said that he thought she needed a password. She said that she knew that the gentleman would not use an ordinary code, but rather even a genetic one, because ordinary passwords are easy to hack, and face unlocking is not reliable. She further added that genes are relatively unique, with the exception of direct relatives and 3 generations of collateral relatives who differ genetically from person to person, and this code can be very reliable. He said that these were just her assumptions. She asked why he didn't trust her intuition. He replied that he understood what she meant, and that since she was his daughter, she had a chance to open the door. She said it was possible as long as it was the genetic code and not something else. He also said that he didn't notice any guards on the way to the database, but that doesn't mean they weren't there. After all, there may be invisible guards there, and asked what to do if they are caught and interrogated. She replied that she was recently caught, and that's why they all know her identity, because she was interrogated. He told her his plan, and they went together to the right place. While they were walking, the main character used the invisibility skill. Approaching the door and putting her hand to scan the genetic code, she said that her intuition turned out to be correct, because the test was successful and the door opened. They went further to the database, and there the password to open it was to check the retina. She decided not to be afraid of such tricks and try it, but the system detected a genetic discrepancy and announced that there was an intruder in the database. The gentleman came to this place and told the main character that the agreement they had entered into was now invalid. He asked his daughter why she broke in here and was helping a stranger. She asked him where he was when the main character saved her again and again, and where he was when she and her mother were trembling in the ditch. He didn't answer her and asked the guards to grab her. She started to run away. The girl grabbed her and began to squeeze her, telling her that she was simply following orders. Yunka took a sharp cutting weapon and the girl jumped away from her. Yunka said that she knows that she is not afraid of bullets or blows, but she is afraid of sharp blades, so she ties up her opponent in no time. At that moment, another guard came to the girl's aid and asked if she had forgotten about him. He went on to say that if he caught her, he wouldn't be able to let her go so quickly because he had to have a good time. The main character realized that it would not be easy to find out about his strength, and he needed to do this as soon as possible in order to understand the situation. At that moment, Qilian awakened and attacked Yunka, forcing everyone else to run away from her. The girl told the head that she could save her. The gentleman stopped her and said that he would soon come and save her. He really came in time for this battle and asked Yunka to get up from the ground while he took care of it. She told him that this candidate looked so strong that she was afraid he would not be able to handle him. The gentleman also asked to leave it to him, because he was confident that he could handle it, and she left with them. The main character realized that he was now strong enough to control such a large zombie with relative ease. He received some points for fighting zombies in Zone H and also received a new skill to improve. At some point, he realized that this was the same girl from the underground warehouse whom he wanted to free. He further thought that he should have realized earlier that the master could not keep ordinary people in such a place. Now, given that she is a fused monster, he realized that it would be difficult. He understood that if he killed her, then her brother would remain an orphan, but if he left her alive, then it was unknown how many people she would kill after that. In addition, he noticed that she had the ability to pass through walls. The master did not understand how she dared to use the back of the sword, because this was stupid mercy. Yunka didn't understand why all this. As he left, he asked her if she had noticed the girl's face on that monster. She remembered and said that this was the same girl that the main character saved earlier. He said it was his weakness. In this post-apocalyptic world, the protagonist still has compassion, which he needs to get rid of in order to become a god. The protagonist realized that he could no longer be so indecisive, but he did not know the answer to the question of whether there was a way to get the better of these two situations. The system recommended that he switch to the medical profession and use the soundwave skill. Yunka asked the gentleman why that girl knelt in front of the main character. He replied that it was simply an instinct to submit to the strong, and that he did not have such an ability. He also added that she recognizes him as the owner. She asked if this meant the main character could control zombies. Meanwhile, in Sky City, inside the Tianzong base, the protagonist's brother said that he still cannot believe that his brother has such abilities. The commander said that he was surprised too, but they would check on him first. He asked for a short sparring session to see how his abilities were restored. The brother agreed. He tried using air slash but noticed that his powers were gone. After being hit by an opponent, the commander asked the protagonist's brother if he was okay and if he was injured. He replied that everything was fine and it was just scratches and asked where his strength was. The commander replied that it was possible that the drugs he was given had temporarily suppressed his abilities. He also said that they have a solution to this problem, so there is no need to worry. After he left, the soldier asked the commander why he did not tell him about his brother's desertion. He replied that for now this does not need to be done in his opinion. The system congratulated the main character for successfully using the soundwave skill, for which he received 10 points, and also announced that the collar would be automatically installed on the target after taming. The girl said that it was very good that she returned to her body, and thanked the main character for saving his life, and asked permission to follow him. The main character refused and said that the collar is a restraining device that no one can unlock without his order, and even ordinary zombies will think that she is one of their kind and will not attack her. He also added that he could not guarantee that higher-level zombies would not attack her, so it was better to move as far away as possible and return to his brother. The main character realized that this strange sound, which used to make him feel bad, has now become his skill. He also realized that if he came across a very strong zombie, he could take control of it. The gentleman said that this was surprising, because he always surprises him with his abilities. Yunka said that this was correct and asked if he really thought that everyone was as inhuman as him. The gentleman asked her not to think that because she was his daughter, he would not kill her. But at that moment, the main character put a knife to his throat and asked to let her go. The gentleman said it was quick and asked how he knew she was here. The protagonist replied that in order to prevent him from imprisoning her again, he had previously placed a miniature nano-tracker on her shoulder. The gentleman asked what he wanted to do. The main character replied that he wanted to take him to the database, unlock it, and get information about his life and get out of here. The gentleman said that this was a kidnapping and that there was no need to be so cruel. The main character asked what he meant. The gentleman replied that as a token of gratitude for saving his daughter's life, he would personally take him there and personally unlock the database so that he could find out who he really was. The main character asked why he should believe. The master asked why he didn't just kill him now, and replied that it was up to him to decide whether to believe him or not. He believed him, and the gentleman fulfilled his promise and successfully unlocked the database. Yunka found this strange, because father and daughter are genetically identical, but for some reason he can unlock her, but she cannot. The gentleman further asked to simply pour the drops of blood that he had prepared into the system. After the blood infusion, he saw a message that there was no top-secret information. The gentleman asked to relax and said that he would not have allowed him to find out about this database if he was planning something, and added that he has a rather peculiar character, and in general he is a mysterious person. The main character asked how he could get permission for this information. The gentleman replied that power is the result of mutual checks and balances. The gentleman went on to say that he has the largest database in Sky City, and that in order to gain access to secret information, you need the permission of 4 great families. He also added that if he wants to get permission from the other 3 parties, then he must conquer them with his strength and become the strongest in the city. He also said that his abilities are more or less known to the other 2 families, not counting him and Li Yuting, and in his opinion, everyone will want him. Therefore, if he kills him, it will be of little use, because being alive he can help him, but being dead he cannot. The protagonist realized that the old man's goal was to use his power to help him expand his sphere of influence while secretly studying his abilities. He also decided that when the research ended, there would be no benefit from it. Instead, he will participate in battles to expand his authority, thereby constantly increasing his level. He also decided that he could keep an eye on everything that this old man did, and said that he agreed and that he hoped that he would do what he promised. The gentleman thought about the fact that top-secret information concerned several serious cases in Sky City, and the question arose whether the main character could be a descendant of the person who arranged them. Yunke approached the main character who had come out and asked him to be careful with the old man, because he is not a kind person and simply does not do anything. The main character said that he knows this. The main character went on to say that the top-secret information he read today left him somewhat confused as to how he was going to fulfill his desire, namely to take his brother to Sky City. She said she thought it was cool to live here and that he was much stronger now than he was when she first met him. She also added that in his place, she would strive for more and would destroy all the evil that exists. Meanwhile, in Sky City, in Li Yuting's 6th office, he was shown and told that this image taken by a miniature drone proves that the main character defeated 2 captains. Then he was told that the drone was destroyed and the signal with it was lost. The commander said that he did not quite understand why he switched sides. A subordinate asked if this could be related to the recent murder of Dr. Hu. The commander asked what he meant. The subordinate replied that before leaving, Yunke suddenly disappeared shortly after they both appeared at Yunling's. There was also an incident where Yunling's men kidnapped the protagonist during his research in front of Dr. Hu. Yunlin wanted to study the main character, and what Dr. Hu told him led to the main character going over to Yunling's side. The commander said that this can only mean that Yunling has what the main character wants, and he asked after that, what about the information about the main character and his brother? The subordinate replied that according to the information they had, their data was top secret. Meanwhile, the story moves to Yezilan, who met the main character after some fight and said that they had not seen each other for a long time. She went on to say that she's not interested in zombies because she's here to get him. The main character promised to personally explain to the commander why he left without saying goodbye, and said that there is no need to kill each other here. She asked him not to be mistaken about this because she was going to arrest him and bring him to court. She further ordered the squad members to go and catch the killer of Vice Captain Liu Yong. His assistants from the team to which Mr. Yun assigned him came to the defense of the protagonist and said that they would not allow them to walk around on their territory. The captain told the main character that he is stubborn and that if the commander comes, he will not talk to him the way she does. He asked if she thought it was he who killed the commander. She replied that they had video evidence, so he shouldn't make the situation worse. She further said that an order had been received from the commander to return to the base, and before leaving, she also told the main character that she hoped that he would do the right thing. Next, the main character decided that he would return to the Gecko team to investigate the truth about the death of the commander. He also said that it was he who led him to become a Punisher, and now he cannot leave this case unsolved and will find out the truth and prove his innocence. Yunke said that it was clear that the captain was involved in this, and then asked why she needed to prove anything. He replied that if she did this, then she would die at his hands. After that, he made his way into the captain's room. She noticed this and told him that she knew he was coming, so he didn't have to hide and show himself. She further explained that she killed people simply because they were not strong enough, because it was no more difficult than crushing an ant. According to her, only those who are strong enough are worthy of life. The main character asked if that was why she killed him. She said she thought he was surprised, wondering why she wasn't dodging the killing blows. She further tied him up and said that when she saw him at school, she found that he had a strong aura, and of course the powerful strength of his body, which was exactly what she needed. He said she left them. She replied that it was necessary. She further asked him to stay with her, because then they can become the strongest and can get everything they want. The main character decided that if physical attacks do not work, then in this case it is worth trying magic. He switched to the magician and activated illusion magic, which in his opinion should definitely help him. She realized that she was in a dangerous situation and asked him not to kill her and let her go this time. She asked to remember their childhood love and let it go. She also promised to do whatever he wanted and help him. Then Zhao Lin came and told the main character that his skills were really good, but he didn't have the courage to kill someone, so he helped him. The main character asked who he was and why he killed him. He said that he was waiting for an explanation from him. He replied that he was from the Green family and that he killed her only to help him in some way. The main character said that this only complicates everything because now it is impossible for him to explain the commander. He asked if he seriously believed that anyone cared about his death. After all 4 powerful families support him, including her. He also added that the commander's death was just a trick by Li Yun, who used her hands to allow the elders of Tianji City to control him, considering him a murderer. He also said that if he insists that he needs to explain everything to Li Yun, then they can do it somewhere else. The main character asked if this meant that his goal was to help kill the captain and bring him into the Green family. He answered in the negative and said that although all 4 families are interconnected with each other, theirs is still a little different. They are rather in the arms and equipment business, and their goal is to let him have his way and put him in charge. The main character asked if he understood correctly that they wanted to install him so that he would rule over everyone. He replied that something like that and that they want to continue to do their business, because the more chaos around, the better for them. He also said that they were very interested in new players who could contain and balance the forces of Yun and Tianzong. He asked him to think carefully about his words and said that he could contact him at any time, because he could help him pave the way to his goal. Then Yunka also came to him and said that she had not come to worry about him. The rubber girl who came with her said that it is better to act in her own way than to live in someone else's shadow, and that you should not worry about the fact that everyone is trying to use them in their own interests. She also said that outside the city there is District 69, which is a slum far from Skyrim in the border zone. The problem with the area is that it is quite poor and no one wants to control it. These slums find themselves at the intersection of the influence of certain forces, and although the area is unattended, residents still have to contend with something abnormal. The main character suggested first going to see what was there, and after that they went. One of them said that the buildings here are more dilapidated than in other slums and it is quite deserted. The girl found a glass and said that it was so clean, as if someone had recently used it. The main character saw the gun on himself and asked everyone to quickly take cover because it was a trap. One of the team members asked the main character why not go and kill a bunch of these locals. The main character said that their goal is cooperation and that they did not come to conquer territory. They were told by locals that they were not welcome in the area, so they should return to where they came from. A local also said that they are now under the gun of several snipers, and in case of an attack they have 0 chances. The main character realized that this man is a leader, so it is necessary to first take control of him. Then the main character appeared behind him and tried to take control of him. The old man said that if he wanted to kill him, then he could do it, because he would not change his mind. The main character told the gentleman that he had misunderstood them and asked them to first do what he said, namely order them to lay down their arms. After fulfilling this request, he announced that they were not in Area 69 to take over territory, and that they were only looking for a place to hide, so they should not be nervous. He also added that their weapons are only capable of destroying low monsters, and are not suitable for fighting against the anomalous monsters that attack them, and they could protect them in this regard. The old man wondered whether it was because he was looking down on him or to prove the sincerity of his words that he put away the knife. One of the locals said that this was just ridiculous and asked why they should believe them. The main character said that in truth, the monsters are already here, and asked the gentleman how he was going to solve this problem. The master announced that the monsters were advancing, so they needed to prepare for battle. The main character asked to leave the main one to him and they could kill the rest themselves, and they ran into battle. The girl told the locals that they had been told that ordinary weapons were useless here, so they needed to hide quickly. At some point, Yunko wondered if it was really a team effort. When one distracts from the front, then the second attacks from the back. The gentleman saw how the main character quickly dealt with the monsters, and realized that for the first time he saw such a fighter that he was able to destroy 2 at once. Yunka told the main character that these monsters are a little unusual, and that they are not like others who just attack aggressively. These work together. Meanwhile, in Skyrim in the Yunbanshan villa, the master was informed of an emergency situation caused by the fact that Li Xiao's team did not return after being sent to complete a mission, but went to District 69 in the slums. The subordinate asked if reinforcements needed to be sent for security reasons. The gentleman answered in the negative and said that he just wanted to continue to observe and find out what they were up to. The protagonist told Yunke that this meant that the monsters had evolved. She asked if this meant that it was not those two large monsters that began to attack, but the smaller ones. Then they saw many monsters, and one of the team members said that there were too many of them, and if they did not bite someone to death, they would be exhausted. The main character realized that they could not do anything if they continued to call for help. Having tried to use fire, he realized that the same thing was happening to them as with those beetles, and apparently they were also afraid of fire. He asked everyone to hide behind him, spent 5 points, and activated a predatory beast. As a result, all these monsters disappeared and only smoke and the smell of burning remained, although the locals thought that this was definitely the end. Punger told the old man that they helped him solve the problem with the monsters and are not asking for gratitude, but he hopes that he can at least calm down. The old man asked for forgiveness and said that they still could not stay here because there was no place for people like them. The old man said that earlier this place was defended by similar fighters, but some of them were too arrogant and intimidated the local residents. In exchange for protection, they extorted money from the poor and plundered supplies, so according to him, such defenders are not welcome here. He went on to say that along the road he pointed to there was an abandoned building where they could spend the night. After all, in any case, they are not afraid of various creatures and monsters. The girl could not understand if their weapons could only kill weak creatures. Then how could they survive a meeting with such creatures as today? Were they really hiding and sitting quietly, as if District 69 was not residential? Yunka replied that the so-called security and rules exist only in Skyrim, which is controlled by the top. The main character said that this place is safe, so you need to rest quickly. He also added that one person would have to stand guard and change every 2 hours because the monsters could attack again. Next, the system reported the approach of creatures of a new level, and the main character asked everyone to stay here, while he tracked where this creature was moving and found out what was happening here. The girl did not understand why the captain, who should command and lead the detachment, is always the first to rush into battle, and whether she thinks too much about it. The main character took the Kaji weapon proposed by the system and tried to damage one tentacle, but he noticed that the creature was able to restore it. Next, he created exoskeleton armor and decided to hit the main parts of the body, as well as launch missiles in the back and left elbow. Next, he adjusted the maximum energy level and decided to fly up in one breath. Yunka said that she felt that it would be more difficult to defeat this monster than other monsters. After discovering the location of the heart-shaped crystal, the main character decided to change tactics. At some point, he was thrown back and he told the squad members that they had better stay put, because this monster is very strong. The main character realized that although the monster does not have eyes, it is capable of making precise blows, getting ahead of it, and interrupting its attack. He also realized that the monster moved its hand at the same time as him, and most likely it was because of the sound. But he didn't understand how to do his actions silently. One of the squad members said that a zombie had not yet been born that could kill him. He further told the main character that he would delay the monster, cover it and rush forward, and then kill it in a matter of seconds. The main character realized that he needed to attack him altogether, because if they cannot hide their presence, then they will do it as loudly as possible. Next, he suggested that everyone go together and give their best, so that there would be more chances to defeat this monster. During their joint attack, he used his skills and created a puppet, used an illusion to confuse the squad members and the zombies, and killed him. Yunka remembered that this technique was similar to the one he used in the battle with the old man. Seeing the crystal, the main character realized that something was wrong with it, because what the system discovered was supposed to be a spherical shape. He further said that he thought so, that not everything was so simple after seeing another enemy. Seeing the two main characters, the squad members began to ask which one was the real one. The main character said that he was real and asked them not to be deceived. He further told the zombie that it was funny and asked him to show his true colors. Rubber Girl asked Yunka if she could determine where the real main character was, since she spent the most time with him. Yunka replied that since they are very similar in appearance, she cannot say where the real one is. She further realized that he had a strong copying technique and wondered why he didn't use it at the very beginning, and if he wouldn't have mastered them faster. The girl said that they even had the same movements, after which she asked if the monster could copy this too. The main character asked her not to stand still and help her captain. She said she was afraid she would help the wrong person. The main character asked not to listen to him and to leave while he took care of everything and then came to them. Yonka asked him to better listen to the captain and leave, but she shouldn't worry about her because she knows which of them is real. The main character told her that she was crazy because she decided to follow the orders of the zombies. She asked him not to worry about her because she would help him. The main character said that it seems that this zombie completely brainwashed her and ordered her to attack him. She asked him to stop pretending because she saw his tricks and pointed out that he had a purple wound on his arm, which was the tentacle mark she left on him earlier. He said that he was surprised because he did not think that her weapon could leave such a mark. She said that at first she thought it was strange, because if he could completely copy an enemy, then he could use it at the very beginning and deal with them much faster. But then, according to her words, she realized that if he wants to confuse them, then he needs to fully study the enemy, his techniques and movements. She further told the monster that she was sorry that this time he met the main character on the way, because he likes to do everything himself and would never ask a member of his team to save him.